And away we go. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate. Hello to you. And how do you do? Upstate South Carolina. Great to be with you again. I am Rob Brown. What's happening? Great to be with you. Appreciate you joining. It's time to hang out. Back studio. The guy pushing the button, switching the switch is making the show sound as good as it does. He is the great one. Hashtags, the content, hashtag, a variety of other nicknames included as well. Lonzo at the helm. What up, Zo? Back half of the week, big dog.
It is. Very happy to be here for another wonderful day on the Rob Brown Show.
Yes, indeed. How pleasant. And a really nice day, too.
That's about as pleasant as I'll be all day. So.
It's going to be like that today?
I don't know. Let's get that out of the way.
That's more of a warning than a threat, is what it sounds like. Super busy day on the program today. And you can be a part of it. 844-GSP, ESPN, 844-477-3776 is the number. The Ingles Market text line is open for you as well. 71307. Start your text with ESPN so that we can read them on the air, and we will be more than happy to do so. Today. You can tweet us at the Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo on Word and at ESPN Upstate. If you would like to send a tweet into the show, we'll read those on air. Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. You can leave a post there. If you're not on Twitter, you can email me, Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com. Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com. All of that available to you. We are going to be busy on the broadcast today. Super busy on the broadcast today. Oh, the live stream is up as well at Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Of course, you can get at us there on Twitter and YouTube as well. Twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show. And, of course, you can get at us by searching The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. If you've got a smart TV, you can bring us up and watch us just like a regular old television program. We're just here to make your life as easy as we can, ladies and gentlemen, and as entertaining as we can. That's literally what we get paid for, literally our job. We have got a bunch of stuff we got to get into. Your 2021 NFL schedules are out. We're going to break down the easiest and most difficult schedules, the winners and losers, and some of the premier matchups to go ahead and circle on the calendar. Tell you right now, it is much easier to get out of other social obligations, ladies and gentlemen. Much easier to get out of other social obligations if you schedule those games now. Help me help you, folks. That's what Zoe and I are here for. Help us help you. All right. Rashad Beard going to join us at 1 o'clock as he does every Thursday to talk a little Carolina Panther football. We'll break the schedule down with Rashad, get some of the news and updates coming out of the Panthers camp the last couple of days. It is going to be a good time. 1 o'clock, Rashad Beard of Panther Nation Podcast joins us here on the radio broadcast. And, of course, we got 1,010,000 other things that we've got to talk about today. Zoe, what the heck, man? Let's just jump straight into it. What do you say?
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented.
You guys hear?
What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Lunch.
It is the lunch breakdown. The 3 things you have to know before we go talk sports with our friends, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This will be the scuttlebutt around the lunch table today. We start off with item number 1. This one coming in yesterday afternoon. Bob Caslen, the president of the University of South Carolina, has resigned his post. The school said that it has already initiated a search to commence immediately for a permanent president, while former U.S. University head Harris Pastides is stepping in to serve on an interim basis until a replacement is found. A statement was sent out by Bob Caslen that said, quote, "Trust is the most important ingredient of effective leadership, and when it is lost, it is nearly impossible to lead. I believe that is the case right now between the University of South Carolina and its president. Therefore, I have submitted my resignation to the Board of Trustees this evening, May 12th, and they have accepted it. The resignation is effective May 13th. That is today." The move comes following a weekend in which Caslen was criticized for plagiarizing a portion of a speech, as well as referring to the school as the University of California during commencement exercises. There were also other rumors that Bob Caslen may have been imbibing a bit before that ceremony. I don't know if there is any accuracy to that. I certainly would hope not. But the video does come across as questionable. Caslen continued in his Wednesday statement, quote, "I'm sorry to those I have let down. I understand the responsibilities and higher standards of senior level leadership. When those are not met, trust is lost. And when trust is lost, one is unable to lead. I am also grateful for the numerous letters, tweets, and texts of support from so many students, faculty, parents, and other constituents. Your trust and confidence mean more than you know. Thank you. I wish only for the best for the future of the University of South Carolina and its students, faculty, staff, and alumni." End quote. So the question now is, what does this mean for the athletics department? Well, we'll start with what we know about the interim president. We will start with the man who is stepping into that role, Pastides. According to the university bio page, Harris Pastides University bio page.
Hey, Rob, yes. Rob, before you get hate, it's
Am I saying it incorrectly?
It's Pastides.
Pastides.
Yes.
You know what? The new guys still got stuff to learn.
It's okay.
Pastides. Got it. All right, perfect. Thank you very much. According to his bio page, the South Carolina Honors College became the #1 public honors college in the nation under his leadership, also secured record levels of research funding, and surpassed a $1 billion capital campaign goal. Pastides is one of 7 Fulbright alum to receive the inaugural Global Changemaker Award. He is also distinguished not just with his academic success, but played a significant role in athletics as well, even beyond the university. He was elected chair of the NCAA Division I Board of Directors in January of 2015. During his time as university president, South Carolina enjoyed some of its best times on the athletics field of competition. The football team won its first SEC Eastern Division championship and had 3 11-win seasons. The baseball team won a pair of national championships, and women's basketball won their first national championship. The men's basketball team advanced to the Final Four, and as did the women's soccer team, which has won multiple SEC regular season and tournament championships. What does the future hold for that office, though? What does that hold for the office, though? We do not know yet. We are not sure. We know that Bob Caslen was put through to the president's position thanks in some part to the push of the governor, Henry Master. There was a lot of pushback against Bob Caslen becoming the president of the university from students, faculty, and alumni, and he got the job anyway. Will there be a different process this time around with at least just a little bit of egg on the face of those who forced Caslen through when he clearly did not have the support of the majority of Gamecocks around the country? We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. Hold the horses, ladies and gentlemen. We have been talking for about a week now that the silence out of the two attorneys in the Deshaun Watson case led us to believe that there would be a settlement coming down the pipe, that Deshaun, even if he was suspended for some length of time, would end up back on another football team sooner rather than later. But that silence has been broken. Mark Berman of Fox 26 in Houston finally got Tony Busby to break his silence. He went on yesterday, did Mark Berman, said that he reached Busby by phone. Busby, of course, the attorney representing the 22 women with civil lawsuits filed against the Texans quarterback. And he said that the women in question, quote, have met with the Houston Police Department, and Busby pointed out the Houston Police Department has been perfect, quote unquote, from Busby. Berman goes on and says, quote, while Busby praised HPD's efforts, he expressed concern with the way the NFL is handling things. Some of the women did not feel like they were being respected, according to Busby, which led to Busby attending the fourth session and said he told the NFL, quote, let's be clear, every time these women recount this situation, they have to relive it, end quote. Busby said other members of his staff attended the first three sessions with the NFL. He also pointed out that there are, quote, probably 4 more women who want to meet with the NFL, end quote, but he's not certain he's going to allow that to happen. When asked about a possible settlement for each case, Busby said, quote, that is not happening, end quote. So, Zoe, in a matter of seconds, one phone call, we go from, hey, a settlement is around the corner and Deshaun's future in the NFL is back up in the air, to, well, if you trust and believe what Tony Busby is saying, not so fast, my friend.
Sounds like they're prepping for the case, doesn't it? It sounds like the silence is them hunkering down and getting all their evidence ready.
Maybe that's what it was.
I mean, that's the only other thing it could be.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it was. That might have been what it was. It may very well have been that Busby was, if you want to use the phrase, hunkering down. Busby was hunkering down, getting prepped for these lawsuits to kick off.
Hunkering is very acceptable in the South, by the way.
What is?
Hunkering.
Hunkering down. Yeah, you got to, hunker down. Hunker down, you hairy dogs. Maybe he was hunkering down and getting prepared for these cases, getting all his ducks in their proverbial rows. And if he's not talking and if he's not making it out there in the news, then there's no need for Rusty Hardin to be speaking, right? There's no need for Rusty Hardin to be. There's no sense in him bringing more attention to the case if Tony Busby has gone radio silent on us. So we'll circle back around to that later on in the show as well. And finally, item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. Your schedules are out, ladies and gentlemen, for the 2021 NFL season. We kind of had an idea of some of the Panthers games. We knew week 1 that they would be taking on Sam Darnold's old squad. That would be the New York Football Jets. Week 1, 1 p.m., they will take on the former Sam Darnold quarterback, home of New York. Week number 2, divisional football kicks off. Week 2, September 19th, the Carolina Panthers take on the New Orleans Saints. That one's going to be in Charlotte at 1 o'clock. Week 3, Carolina travels down to take on the dumpster fire that is Houston. That'll be an 8:30 p.m. kick on a Thursday night in week 3 when the Panthers are at H-Town. Dallas will be the host for the Panthers in week 4. Week 5, back home for 2 weeks against the Eagles in week 5 and the Vikings in week 6. All 3 of those, Dallas, Philly, and Minnesota, are 1 p.m. games. So is week 7 at the New York Giants. And week 8, divisional game number 2, a 1 o'clock kick on the road at the ATL. Week 9, Cam Newton makes his return to Charlotte when the New England Patriots come a-calling. Week 9, 1 o'clock game. Turn around the next week. You are on the road at Arizona. That'll be the afternoon game, 4:05 on Fox in week 10. Week 11, the Washington football team pays a visit to Carolina, a 1 o'clock game as well. So is week 12 on the road at Miami. Week 13 this year is the bye week for Carolina, so a very late bye week. But check out, Lonzo, the stretch of 5 games that Carolina will have to fight through coming off the bye if they are in a playoff spot. Week 14, 1 o'clock game at home against Atlanta. Then week 15, on the road at Buffalo. Week 16, back home for Tom Brady and his Buccaneers. Week 17, on the road at New Orleans. And week 18, back home to wrap it up against Tampa Bay. Atlanta, Buffalo, Tampa, New Orleans, Tampa is a 5-game stretch that you are not thrilled about if you are thinking perhaps you're in a spot to make a wild card run there, Lonzo.
I don't know. Having that at the end of the season, you know what kind of team you have at that point. You should be playing your best football. And why not have conference foes near the end? Because maybe you got a shot at a wild card, and beating those teams are more important. I mean, throw out Buffalo, but all the other ones are in your conference, and you need to beat those guys anyway, and you're familiar with them. I'm not worried about Atlanta. By then, Tom Brady might be old. It could happen. It absolutely could happen.
Remember at the end of Saving Private Ryan, when Matt Damon is looking down at the grave of Tom Hanks, and he's a young man, and then it flashes forward and he ages in front of the camera, and then his family comes running up. That's what Brady's going to do about week 14. We're just going to turn the camera to the sideline, and suddenly Brady's going to have gray hair and wrinkles.
Listen, how many times in sports have we seen someone hit that wall? We've seen them hit the wall, and then there's no turning back. It just, boom, suddenly the age just finally catches up with them. It could happen. It absolutely could happen. So am I sitting here wishing and hoping that someone would act their age? Yes, I am.
I mean, I'm in his division, so same, I guess. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, let's take a deeper dive into the schedule, some of the matchups to be circled on the schedule before we get to the season. We'll break down Carolina's further. Remember, Rashad Beard, a Panther Nation podcast, joining us at 1 o'clock. Quick break. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate.
Harley.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Harley-Davidson of Greenville is celebrating Lady Riders during the month of May. That's right, ladies. It is your month at Harley-Davidson of Greenville. During the entire month of May, buy one ladies accessory or ladies apparel and get 25% off your second item now through the end of the month. And coming up 10 days from today, 10 days from today, Sunday, May 23rd at 10 a.m., they are hosting a ladies-only ride. That's right, ladies-only ride taking place Sunday, May 23rd. If you are a lady rider on the back of a Harley in the upstate, you've been looking for more women to ride with, this is your opportunity. The ladies-only ride is Sunday, May 23rd at 10 a.m., Go to upstateharley.com. You can get the details for that ride. They will have lunch included. Go to upstateharley.com to get that information. And of course, if you're looking to get on the back of a Harley, man or woman, because Harley's for everybody, they got you. Head on over to Harley-Davidson of Greenville. See the all-new 2021 models. They are on the showroom floor, and they are absolutely beautiful. To see the entire inventory of new and the entire inventory of over 150 used rides in their pre-owned showroom, go to upstateharley.com. That's upstateharley.com. It's Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Appreciate that, Brian. Had that logo made for me a couple of years ago back down in Florida, and it has come into good use. Zoe, I spent about half an hour, well, I guess about 45 minutes to an hour last night playing with some new logos that are formatted to the screen. So we'll have the logo down underneath us, et cetera, et cetera. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty excited about it.
Cool. I can't wait to see it. Right now with the with Brian's post up there, it looks like the Ob Brown show.
The Ob Brown show.
So you're gonna keep the name where it is, or are you gonna
I think I'm gonna keep the name where it is. I'm gonna get rid of these little spots where the bottom of the letters stick out below the camera, right? So it'll end at the bottom of our frames here, and then I don't know what I'm gonna put up at the top up here, but there'll be something to let the ESPN Upstate pop, something to let the live pop, something to make the logo up in the top right corner pop, and then I'll figure out something that's going to go in the middle. I was going to put a smaller logo, but this is where my very mild OCD kicks in. I can't center any logos because there's so much more space between the logo and the ESPN Upstate on the right versus the one on the left because of the button that says live. So I may have to remake the entire background, including the Upstate and the live portions.
One way that you might be able to do it easier would be to somehow download the overlay that's going on right now.
That's what I was thinking.
And then you can actually mess with it within whatever program you're using to do the picture, and then just put it all up as one thing. You also, and I'm sure you're looking at this, about how certain colors pop more when they're like the little bit of the ESPN Upstate that's over top the red makes that look stand out. Yep. So
I need to learn Photoshop because it would be much easier in Photoshop.
Definitely.
But I took Photoshop classes in I think my high school senior year, and that's the last time I've ever even I have it on my computer, but I've been obviously doing more photo stuff, so I've been dealing with Lightroom and photo editing software more.
I have album stuff where I used to put all our albums together. I have all that software, but it's pretty old now.
Sports talk every weekday noon to 3. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. A couple of texts that came in on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. At ESPN, spoiler alert, Tom Hanks dies? Yes, if you haven't heard yet, ladies and gentlemen, I'm tremendously sorry, Lonzo. I did not mean to spoil Saving Private Ryan for anybody.
I've never seen that movie. So
have you seriously never seen it?
Yeah, it just didn't really interest me.
Dude, it is a great movie. One of my favorite movies of all time.
I reached a point in my life where I no longer want to watch reality-based things just because, I've worked at a news station for over 20 years. And when I watch a movie, I want it to be something far-fetched and way out there and could not possibly happen in my lifetime.
I don't disagree, as the vast majority of movies I watch are giant monkeys fighting giant lizards. Giant apes fighting giant lizards. Or immortal warriors from other realms coming together for tournaments. Sure. But Saving Private Ryan is one of the best war movies of all time. It's gritty, it's real, it will change you as a person, and has a phenomenal story written into it. Matt Damon is great. Tom Hanks is great. There's so many great actors in that movie. I absolutely love that movie. I apologize for spoiling it for you if you have not seen it, as I just did for Lonzo. I know the movie Lonzo only came out in 1998. So it's not like everybody's really had the chance and the time to sit down and watch it yet. You know, it's only been 23 years.
Well,
so I do apologize for that.
You know, I know some people compile lists of things that they're going to watch eventually. One of them I might be looking at right now through the wonders of technology. And you know, it might be on their list and they just haven't gotten around to it yet.
I'm just saying, I'm sorry if I spoiled it for you.
Don't be sorry. If you haven't seen it now, you're never going to watch it. I mean, that's just how it goes.
3 years old at this point. At ESPN, Rob, by week 9, Cam 9 will, oh my God, it's 23 years old. I just had an existential crisis live on air. Rob, by week 9, Cam will not be the starter against Carolina. If Cam doesn't beat Brady in week 2, he will be out. I don't know, man. I don't know if Hoodie is the guy that immediately pulls the trigger on Mac Jones if things aren't going his way, right? I think Hoodie seems to me to be a guy that if the Patriots are floundering, right, and if Cam isn't getting it done, which, by the way, the Patriots are not going to beat Tom Brady. All right, Brady's going up to Foxborough. There's only one thing. Scratch that. I say there's only one thing. There's a handful of things, I'm sure, that Tom Brady has yet to accomplish. But it seems, Lonzo, like the minute somebody finds another record that Tom Brady has not broken yet, or another feat that Tom Brady has not accomplished yet, he immediately sets his goal to go ahead and break that, right? Last year it was no quarterback and no team has ever hosted the Super Bowl and won it. Well, never hosted it, certainly, but obviously never won it. And then Brady does that. There were like 3 records on the books last year. No quarterback has ever blank, 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 and Tom Brady knocked them all out. Tom Brady has defeated 31 of the 32 teams in the National Football League. There is only one team he has yet to defeat, Lonzo, and that is, of course, the New England Patriots, which means that Tom Brady has one more feat left to accomplish this year, which is to knock off his old team and become one of only a very small number of quarterbacks to defeat every NFL franchise during his career. Lonzo, how good of odds do I have to give you to get you to bet on New England and knock off Tampa Bay and stop Brady from reaching that milestone?
What week is this again? It's like week 2 or something. When are they meeting?
Oh man, I just had it pulled up and you threw me off. Tampa Bay will face who cares? It's in the season.
No, it does matter.
It's week 8, I think.
If it's halfway through the season, hit me up, a couple games before, and I might be one to, talking about what kind of team that the Patriots are going to have. So that's such a crapshoot right now. I would say absolutely no. But if we watch a couple games and they're hitting on all cylinders, then I probably will take that bet, because there's one thing. There's a guy who does defense for New England, who may have some experience against Tom Brady and might actually know how to stop him, since he had him forever. It's
week 4, by the way.
Okay, so it's going to depend on how good the New England offense is, because I think the defense will be back with all the guys they got back and all the moves they made, and Belichick should know how to stop him. He is not unstoppable. We've seen Tom Brady get beat, especially early on in the season last year. Will that happen again this year? I don't know, but I think if the New England offense plays fairly well, I'll take the bet. But not yet.
Week 4. And again, you're right. New England does get their full defense back, which they did not have last year. But this texter says Cam Newton will not be the starter by week number 9. Will not be by week number 9. Mac Jones will be. I don't think so. I think if things are going if things are going sideways for New England, I got to think that Hoodie takes a year to let Mac Jones learn the NFL. We might see him as the starter towards the end of the year. But, of course, all of that is working under the assumption that Cam Newton will not be good this year. I mean, look,
also Cam played pretty well before COVID.
Yeah.
He did. And then COVID messed him up, and COVID messed a lot of people up.
Yeah.
And being able to have a training camp and he's got new weapons and things like that, people are writing him off way too quick.
Got new weapons, got a fully healthy team, got a Belichick who understands what this season means. Last year, those of us who believe that the success of the Patriots was due 75-25 to Brady, not Hoodie, Hoodie wants to try to save that. Hoodie's got a legacy to maintain, and it's going to take winning this year in order to do that, especially if Brady's Bucks find themselves back in the Super Bowl for another round. So we will find out about it. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll look at Carolina's schedule, break it down week by week, game by game. What do we like? What don't we like? That's next. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo with the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics in the next break.
Okie dokie, Smokey.
By the way, PlayStation has just a couple of days ago put out a story about their new VR controllers.
Yeah.
For the new. Now they've got me considering going PlayStation before Xbox.
Love it.
But I'm going to get both of them eventually. I've just been trying to figure out which one to get first. But the controllers look really, really sweet and look a lot better than what the Move controllers are. So maybe we'll see. It's going to be a while till it comes out.
Yeah, I'm holding off on buying a new console because they're just spitting stuff out so quick now.
I'm also still waiting for exclusivity for a next gen console to where it's a game that I have to play and I can't play it until I have the console.
Yeah, I almost got PS5 because of the Spider-Man game, that most recent Spider-Man, because I've heard it's absolutely fantastic. And you can customize to basically be whatever Spider-Man you want to be, which is great.
Yeah, but you could do that with the other one, the last one too.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed more free range, but we're gonna find out because I'm I really am probably just gonna wait for a hot minute to see which VR console that drops first is like the first one that people really, really love.
Availability is going to come into play too.
Yeah. Also true, just like every other console release.
$30 seconds.
More than the scores, the ups and downs, the ins and outs. Real, unfiltered sports talk. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. So let's take a real quick run through the spots we like, the spots we're concerned about with your 2021 Carolina Panther schedule. We knew week 1. Opening day is a 1:00 contest at home. The New York Football Jets come down to square off against their old quarterback, Sam Darnold. It is likely that Zach Wilson will be in play for the Jets, and that one standing in Darnold's old position. This is one of those things. We had this conversation with Dallas J yesterday, right? We asked Dallas, hey, man, when you're getting set to take on Union Omaha on Sunday, last year they were the runners-up and the championship game never got played. The Omaha fans loved to blast out that the Triumph didn't deserve the trophy because the match didn't get played. They didn't win the match to get the trophy, et cetera, et cetera. I asked Dallas, I said, hey, man, look, there is, whether you like it or not, there is a bit of a rivalry, a budding rivalry, if you will, between Union Omaha and the Greenville Triumph within the USL League One ranks. Does it change your attitude when you take on a team that there is a little bit of a personal grudge against, not just a rivalry? You know, you got something to prove here. Greenville wants to go out and prove that they're the better side. I will say the same thing about Sam Darnold. This is Sam's first game as a Carolina Panther. His first game in the role of starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. And it's up against his old team. It is one thing as an athlete to say, hey, I just want to go out there and attack it like any other game. We've got things that we've got to do. We've got schemes and tactics that we've got to run through, yada, yada, yada. And I think that is all good and correct. But you got to wonder, Zoe, if there's not a little bit of oomph in Sam Darnold's game in week number 1. It's kind of like you can tell the new girlfriend that the ex doesn't matter to you, that you're over her, that, you know, you're happy where you are and you move past her. But at the same time, when you go out and you bump into the ex-girlfriend, you puff that chest out a little bit. You make sure you're dressed up a little bit. You make sure you're spending a little extra on dinner and a date just to show her, you know what? You missed out. You could have had greatness, but you screwed up. I wonder if that impacts Sam Darnold in week number 1. And keep in mind, this is the first game. The tone is going to be set, right? If Sam Darnold goes out there and just isn't good, Carolina Panthers fans might get a little angsty right off the bat. You got to wonder how much of an impact on the mentality of Sam Darnold does playing his old team in week 1, not 6, 7, 8, where he's got a few games under his belt and he's got some rhythm and some momentum. Game number 1, he's going out there to show the Jets what they passed out on. I wonder how that plays into that game.
Well, I think the most important part of the game will be the first quarter, because will he press? Will there be a touch of the nerves? Will there be that extra adrenaline you're talking about? But in the end, he'll relax. He'll sit back when he realizes he has protection, something that even though the offensive line for the Panthers is not necessarily great, it's better than where he came from. And he sits back and realizes, hey, I've got some time to throw. I've got some time to do some things that I couldn't do against the Jets. But in the end, you're still playing the Jets. So the rest of the team, the rest of the Panthers, they're playing the Jets. There's only one person on that team playing their old team, and that's him. So as long as he gets his nerves in check, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, because in the end, you're still playing the Jets.
Yeah. And again, that's the attitude you'd like your starting quarterback to come in with, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you want him to come in cool, calm, collected, composed, regardless of who's lined up against him. But it is the Jets. Week 2, back home in Charlotte. This one's going to be against the New Orleans Saints, divisional matchup right out of the gate. And this game has a lot riding on it, specifically for two people, Lonzo. I'm still working under the assumption that Jameis Winston is going to be the starting quarterback for the Saints. Sam Darnold getting his second start for the Carolina Panthers. We are at a point where the NFC South outside of Tampa Bay is kind of an arms race to see who can be set up for success when Tom Brady leaves the Buccaneers in a year or two. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he doesn't play till he's 50. Who's going to be set up for success to be the team that jump up and takes the crown when Tom Brady sets it down on the throne and walks away? I don't want to put too much importance into the game in week number 2, Lonzo, but if either one of these teams is able to go out there and get a big divisional win in week 2, especially if either one of them are able to come off of big wins in week 1, right? The Saints got the Panthers at home. Carolina got the Jets at home. It would probably be more impressive of a win to beat Green Bay, depending on what happens with Aaron Rodgers. But if those two teams are 1-0, there's an arms race between the bottom 3 teams in the NFC South, though, and this will be an opening salvo that might very well play into the future for both franchises.
Without a doubt. And as you were talking about, I mean, we don't know what we're going to have with Sam Darnold because he's coming off of a team with playing for the Jets. It didn't look that great, but there are times he looked pretty good. Same with Jameis. He hasn't been the man in quite some time, and he sit behind Drew Brees for a while. Did that make a change in his game? That in the LASIK. Will that make a change where he's not throwing to the other team as much? This is going to be exciting because it will give you a chance of what that division is going to look like for the future. And you're right, Tom Brady won't play forever, and so somebody else will be taking up the slack there. So maybe you're looking at a year or two down the road, we're going to be the man again, and this might be the first part of that proving ground.
Week 3 at Houston, week 4 at Dallas, week 5 v Philly. That one's going to be back in Charlotte. Week 6 back home against Minnesota. You got to take. I think you got to hope for 3 of the 4 there. 2 of the 4 seems realistic. Houston better be a win at Dallas. Here's the interesting thing: Dallas reminds me a little bit of Carolina this year, Lonzo, because I don't know how good this team's going to be. Right? I don't know. I could say that this team is going to be 11-6 or 6-11. I could say that this team's going to be 12-5 or 5-12. And I could see both of those being realistic. And I think the same is true for Dallas. We're going to see what the next year of the Dak Prescott era puts into place for him, etc.
Plus, he's coming off of injury. You got to remember. I mean, so you don't know how he's going to play coming off of an injury. It's going to be interesting to see. Can he still play as well or better than what he did before he went out with his injury?
Yeah. And of course, there has been some.
Is he the difference? I mean, we saw what they had last year without him.
Hey,
so
when Dak's playing well, Dak's playing well. All right, Dak's talent has never been in the question. It's just been the commitment to the team that he feels has kind of screwed him over in years past on the pay scale, and B, his commitment to success when he is not happy with the situation he's in. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Dak as we get closer to the season as well. But that's a big game for me. That's 2 teams finding themselves. That's 2 teams really trying to dictate what the next few years are going to be for either one of them. That's a big one. Down the rest of the schedule, you got the Vikings, you got the Giants, and the Falcons. Week 8 on the road in the ATL. That's a big one as well because Atlanta's right there in the mix with New Orleans and Carolina in terms of trying to set up for success for either next year or the year after whenever Thomas Brady decides to call it a career. Let's take a quick break, get back on the clock. Coming up at 1 o'clock, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us on the show. Quick break. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's at the helm. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
QC Kinetics in Asheville and Greenville offer regenerative non-surgical therapy. It's exactly right. You don't have to get cut, slice, and dice. And what you don't have to do is you don't have to go into the summer with joint pain. You don't have to go into the summer already planning on missing out on activities because of the threat of joint pain when QC Kinetics is here to help you. They offer those orthobiologic treatments. They take place right there in the office with Dr. Richard Schaefer, MD, who walk you through the whole process. You get the therapy, wham, bam, you're in, out, thank you, ma'am. You're back to regular day-to-day life. You don't have to give up playing around in the yard with the kids. You don't have to give up teaching your grandkid how to throw a baseball. You don't have to give up playing golf with your friends because you know that inflammation, that joint pain is going to be terrible when you get done. You can fix it, and QC Kinetics can help you with that. Check out their website, qckinetics.com, qckinetix.com, to learn all about the science and hear from dozens and dozens of folks that have gone through the QC Kinetics non-surgical regenerative therapies and are better off for it. Or just give them a call and set up that free consultation. 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. You'll get that consultation for free. You'll get yourself on the path to feeling better, faster, healthy, and without surgery. 864-448-3772. It's our friends at QC Kinetics in Greenville and Asheville.
Well, Keegan, I'm glad you like it. I still have only seen one episode, and I plan on watching more. But it'll have to be tonight because tomorrow the Mass Effect Legends drops, which is all 3 games redone in 4K, all the DLC included, and that's one of my favorite gaming franchises of all time. And yeah, the story will still be the same, but I'll be spending some time in that. So maybe I'll watch some more Jupiter's Legacy tonight. And Rob will watch it like 6 months from now.
And then complain about it, because that's what I do.
No one's told you it's bad yet. So, you know. One minute.
Let's see. I am DJing the tailgate Sunday. Anything you want to hear? Andrew and the writer putting together a playlist on spot. Man, look, first off, the music that was bumping at the tailgate last week was sick. I'm here for it. You're never going to fail to get me hype. I may throw a wrench, so don't listen to me if it doesn't fit. I've only gotten to come to one tailgate so far. It was last weekend or 2 weekends ago. But you're never going to go wrong if you give me a little, little 80s hair metal. Always gets me going. But I also know that I'm like twice as old as half the. That's not true. I'm not twice as old, but I'm a good bit older than most of the folks out there. So do not let me be the DJ, or else you're all getting
30 seconds.
Alice Cooper and Motley Crue thrown down for 2 hours before kickoff.
The Crew, I'm not surprised by. Alice Cooper, I am.
I love Alice Cooper.
Upstate Sports Junkies.
These pathetic junkies? Come on, look at them.
You eat sports like food every day. Get hooked on the Rob Brown Show, noon to 3 every weekday on ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show rolls on, wrapping up hour number 1 here on ESPN Upstate. Rashad Beard of Panther Nation Podcast joins us next. We'll break down the schedule. Teddy Bridgewater yesterday was on a podcast and was asked about his time with Carolina. Said he was disappointed, said that he felt, and I'm not surprised by this comment from Teddy Bridgewater. Bridgewater said that during practices, the Carolina Panthers really didn't practice the 2-minute drill, really didn't practice red zone scenarios as much as he'd like. Look, I don't know if that's true or not. I do know I'm unsurprised by this from Teddy Bridgewater, right? I think Teddy feels like he kind of did wrong in Carolina. He was brought in there to be the starting quarterback. Teddy believes that he is a starting quarterback, believes that he ought to get an opportunity. And, the biggest stat that we have pointed out over and over is the fact that there were 8 games, half the games last season. The Carolina Panthers were within 7 points on their final drive of the game. And in those 8 games where the Carolina Panthers needed a score to tie it or win it outright, Teddy Bridgewater was 0 for 8. 0 for 8. Now, I have no idea if what Teddy is saying is accurate, if the Panthers just didn't put a focus on red zone drills, on 2-minute drills, etc. I don't know if they did or didn't. I know that in every situation where a 2-minute drill drive could have won them the football game, every situation where a 2-minute drill drive could have won them the game, they failed. 0 for 8. Now, there's 2 possibilities here. A, Teddy Bridgewater is telling the truth, in which case that is a huge letdown on the part of Matt Rhule, especially knowing that you are a team that is going to be in some dogfights over the years. Or B, Teddy Bridgewater is not telling the truth about this because Teddy Bridgewater realizes that folks like me have one big bullet in the gun about why he should not be a starting quarterback. Now, I frankly don't care if Teddy B is a starting quarterback elsewhere. I like the dude. He's always seemed like a good dude. The guy got dealt an unfair hand when his knee exploded underneath him in a practice. It was a sad situation. I hated it for him. But he's out of my division. He's off my team, and he's off the team that I cover in Carolina. So, with that being said, I'm not really worried. But there are folks in places like Denver. There are folks in other places that may be looking at Teddy Bridgewater down the road as the replacement quarterback if Denver does end up in the market for Aaron Rodgers, which they apparently are. If they were to make a move on Deshaun Watson, which has been discussed in the past, if Teddy gets out of there, he wants another shot at being a starter. And he has basically just said, hey, that one thing that I was really bad at, that one thing that was a genuine criticism of me, Lonzo, it was because the team didn't practice that a lot. It's either true, in which case Matt Rhule is disappointing, or it's untrue, in which case Teddy Bridgewater's just taking the old CYA route. Both of them are realistic.
Even if it is true, he'd been in the league for a while, long enough, and played football long enough to actually know what to do in those situations, even if they didn't practice. The other thing is, because of COVID, a lot of things were different last year. So even if they didn't practice it, it could be a matter of how many hours they were allowed to practice and all that kind of stuff. But it just sounds like someone disgruntled because they didn't get the job done. Because that's what happens. If he won more games and he played better, he'd probably still be there.
I don't know if he'd still be there. I don't think there were many Carolina fans.
If they made the playoffs last year, he probably would still be the starter.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, probably. But again, making the playoffs last year out of that division was tough. All right, 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us next on the Rob Brown Show. Rob Lonzo and you. This is ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate.
Yeah, well, let's see. If you're older than Andrew, Josh, then you're older than me too. Because if I recall correctly, I think Andrew's got me by a few months. I think we're the same age, but he's got me by a couple of months. Greatest of all time.
Hey, Greenville, Spartanburg. Catch the Rob Brown Show weekdays noon to 3 on ESPN Upstate.
We'll see if it helps us win something.
Warning.
And check this out.
For an official Rob Brown lockdown.
represents being real.
Yeah. Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Great to be with you. Lonzo back in the network studio. I am Rob Brown, and now to the phone lines we go to welcome in a young man who's been chatting Panther football with us for a handful of weeks. We hit that segment again today, ladies and gentlemen, as Rashad Beard, one half of the host of the Panther Nation podcast, joins us right here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Rashad, what up, fella? How we doing, big dog?
Rob and Zoe, my guys, I love Thursdays. Let's talk about it. We're getting close. We're getting so close to football, being back to a little bit of normalcy, and I'm happy. Schedule dropped. Things are great. I'm loving it.
Yeah. Let's jump. In fact, let's go ahead and get right into that schedule. Zoe and I, just a few minutes ago, were breaking down some of the schedule, some of the highs and lows, some of the wins and losses we're looking at for Carolina coming up this year. And I'll tell you, I think you got two big ones right off the bat. You got a real opportunity if you're Carolina to establish yourself coming right out of the gate, man. I mean, week one, the New York Jets, that's a football team with a new head coach trying to find themselves, but also it's the former team of Sam Darnold, your starting quarterback, getting a chance to go out there in Charlotte and show the Jets what they passed up on. Rashad, I said earlier in the show, I think we're going to hear from Sam Darnold the same thing we hear from every athlete before they go into a revenge game. Oh, you got to treat it like any other game. You just got to be us. We can't change anything. We can't let it get to us. And that's all great. But to me, the comparison, Rashad, is like when you break up with a girl, right? And you go out with another girl and you tell the new girl, you know what? I'm not worried about my ex. I don't care what she thinks or how she feels. I got nothing to prove to her, yada, yada, yada. And then, and it's happened to all of us, Rashad, you go out on a date, you bump into the old girlfriend, and you puff out the chest a little bit, you dress a little nicer, you spend a little more money to show, you try to show that you're doing just great. Sam Darnold in week one, I kind of wish this game was later in the year, Rashad, to give Sam a few weeks to get his feet under himself in Charlotte.
Hey, man, great analogy, by the way. I love that analogy. And listen, I think Sam Darnold needs to have his chest puffed all the way out for this one. And in fact, I'm happy that it's week one. You catch Zach Wilson early. You kind of do what we did with Justin Herbert last year. We caught him in like week 4. He was confused. We befuddled him. And I think that's exactly what I'm expecting week one against the Jets. You come out. The Jets aren't going to be expected to be that good coming out week one. You got a lot of guys on that roster that are former Jets, not just Sam Darnold. So you're talking about Robbie Anderson, you're talking about Pat Eflin, you're talking about Frankie Louvu. So there's a lot of guys that are former Jets, and I think it's the perfect time. Come out there, get your feet wet against the Jets, a team that's going to likely struggle coming out the gate. You got a rookie quarterback. So I expect our defense to kind of overwhelm Zach, give him a welcome to the NFL moment. And I think it's a great game to start with for the Jets. For Sam Darnold. I think it's, he's familiar with with some of the personnel, maybe not the scheme, but he's familiar with some of the personnel over there. So I think it's a great game to start with, personally.
Rashad Beard joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. You got the Jets in week one, and then you turn right back around. You got New Orleans back in Charlotte, back-to-back home games to open the season. Here's why I put emphasis on this game, Rashad. I put emphasis on this game because I think all three teams in the NFC South that are not Tampa Bay are in an arms race against each other. Without Drew Brees, the Saints are going to try to establish identity with either Jameis Winston or whoever the quarterback is. Atlanta, we know that bringing in Kyle Pitts, they've decided to roll with Matt Ryan one more time. They are going to try to prove with the new head coach that they are not the same team that's been disappointing for the past few years. And, of course, we know with the situation with Carolina and Matt Rhule, this Saints-Panthers game in week number 2, September 19th, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, this is an identity-establishing game. this is a game where one team might be able to get in early, maybe not a big one, but an early leg up in the arms race between the three teams at the bottom of the South looking up at Tom Brady. I think this game is incredibly important for Carolina, Rashad.
Yeah, I think every division game is important, but I 100% agree with you. Again, listen, the Bucs, they're the cream of the crop right now, brought back the entire Super Bowl roster, and you have got to keep pace. It's going to be a very competitive NFC as a whole, but that division is going to be competitive. And listen, you get the Saints in week 2. They're another team that's going to be looking, like you said, looking for their identity. Jameis Winston, I would assume, is going to be the guy that's going to be the starting quarterback there. And listen, you catch them early. There's 2 games, especially the back-to-back home games. You get comfortable. They're 2 winnable games in the beginning of the season, and I think it's a great way to start the season. I think it's a great way to, especially you got one division game early. The rest of them are towards the back end of the season. So let's go ahead and try to get 1-0. And I think it's a great game for week 2. I love the way the schedule starts out. I absolutely love it. I couldn't ask for a better way for weeks 1 through 5 to kind of start. I love it. I love it.
Looking down the rest of that schedule, you got Houston, you got Dallas, another identity game. Dallas trying to do the same thing. We're going to see what Dak Prescott puts out on the field, but I'm looking further down towards the very end of the schedule there, Rashad. You got the week 13 bye. Coming out of the bye, you got Atlanta at home, at Buffalo, Tampa at home, at New Orleans, at Tampa, back-to-back away games to end the season. Look, if Carolina has got themselves in a spot to fight for a wild card in the final 5 weeks of the season, Rashad, that's a bit of a murderer's row with having Atlanta, New Orleans, twice against Tampa, and a roadie to a pretty good Bills team. One thing we will not be able to say about this team when this season's over is that they weren't really tested down the stretch. I think you're going to really get to see what the makeup of this team is like in that last 5 weeks.
Oh man, I 100% agree, dude. Like that last 5 weeks is tough. It's essentially playoff football. After your bye, you're coming out playing a playoff game every single week. The Falcons are always tough. The Bills are playing really good football. The Bucs are going to be the Bucs, and then the Saints again on the road. So that's going to be a tough one. And then one can hope that the Bucs, they kind of got things wrapped up. Maybe they kind of sit some guys. Maybe that's the hope, but we can't obviously bank on that. But yeah, that's why I think it's so important that when you start off with the Jets, you start off with the Saints, you start off with the Texans, and then you got a Cowboys game that could, that one could be tough depending on where Dak is. But that's why it's so important that those first 5 or 6 weeks, you have to instill confidence in Sam Darnold, and you have to get the program going immediately. These wins, you have to get up some wins and get the confidence going, because after week 8, I mean, it's tough. It's really tough. If you go into week 8, you're talking about the Patriots. That's a blood and guts game. The return of Cam Newton to Bank of America Stadium. The Cardinals, that's going to be a tough one. So yeah, I think the back half of the schedule is tough. And I agree with you. Again, like I said, the playoffs is going to start in week 14 for the Carolina Panthers if we're going to put a run together.
All right, last schedule question, and then we'll flip over to some other stuff I want to get into. After that Saints game, you got at Houston, at Dallas, back home for Philly, back home for Minnesota, and then on the road at New York. That is a 5-game stretch that I think may have as much of a determination about the mentality, the makeup, and the future of this team as anything else. Houston better be a win. I would argue New York on the road better be a win. Then you got Dallas, Philly, and Minnesota tossed in there in the middle. That little stretch is interesting to me, Rashad, because it is a very middle of the road stretch in terms of the teams you're going up against. It's a very middle of the road stretch in terms of competition. But if Carolina can walk out of that thing 4-1 before they take on Atlanta, New England, and Arizona in 3 straight, that could really convince this team that they're ready to turn a corner. But if they walk out of that 5-game stretch 1-4 or 2-3, Rashad, I wonder if Panthers fans don't start saying, all right, this is one more rebuilding year under Sam Darnold.
Yeah, no, I agree again, man. You're right on. You're hitting the spot on. I think this schedule it's a nice little ramp up. If you look at the schedule, it starts out winnable games. You get into the middle of the pack, weeks 5 through about 8 or 9. There's some winnable games in that you need to walk away with W's. If you don't walk away with W's, you are setting yourself up for huge disappointments because it gets nothing but tougher. It's a slow ramp up. I mean, the schedule is almost perfect for the Carolina Panthers. It's a perfect schedule. You start out slow, you progressively ramp up, so you have to man up every single week. And we're gonna find out a lot, man. We're gonna find out a lot. Teddy Bridgewater and stuff made some comments, and we're gonna find out a lot about this Panthers team and the direction it's going. Quickly. I'd say, like you said, by week 4, that Dallas game is gonna be pivotal. Week 5, a winnable game against the Eagles. Week 6, a winnable game against the Vikings. Week 7, a winnable game against the Giants, and then the Falcons at home. And Falcons on the road. That's where it kind of gets tough. It starts to get tough from there. So again, slow ramp up, but I like the way it's laid out for the Panthers.
Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. All right, let's flip over. We've been talking about the comments that Teddy Bridgewater made to a podcast out in Denver, where he said that he was disappointed in the way that Matt Rhule coached, said they didn't really ever practice 2-minute drills. They didn't ever practice really red zone drills. There's one of two possibilities here, Rashad. Either A, Teddy Bridgewater is telling the truth, in which case that's very disappointing as a Panthers fan in Matt Rhule. Or 2, Teddy Bridgewater realizes that last year there was one huge criticism about him, which was that in games inside the final 2 minutes where the Panthers were inside of one score, he was 0-8. There was not a successful 2-minute drill that turned into a game-tying or winning scenario, and he's just trying to cover his own backside in case he gets another run at being the starting quarterback. Matt Rhule came out, said he was disappointed in Teddy Bridgewater, disappointed he was make those comments, but it is what it is, etc. What's your takeaway from that? Has there been any talk that maybe Matt Rhule wasn't focusing on crunch time practicing, or do you think this is Teddy trying to cover his own backside in case he gets another starting opportunity?
Well, I think there's a little bit of truth in from all parties. I think there's a little bit of truth from all parties involved. And listen, we got to put a lot of things in context here. That last year was not a normal season, okay? Like, it was not normal. You had, COVID protocol, things you had to do. Maybe there was some intention to do things that you could not do due to the protocol. So that's number one. Number 2, I really think that it's obvious we had clear issues in the red zone. There's clear issues in 2-minute drills with time management and clock management. There were obvious issues. And so anybody that knows football and knows what they're looking at can tell that there were issues, and I called them out frequently during the season last year about those issues. Now, I can only speculate for what was if they didn't practice it. I don't know that to be true or not, but I don't think Teddy Bridgewater has ever been a bold-faced liar. I don't think he would just lie about it, and he has no reason to be salty towards the Panthers. We handed the guy $33 million guaranteed, so there's no reason for him to be upset and just do this out of spite. That's just my opinion. So I think there's a little bit of truth in what he was saying. And I don't think anything that he said was an indictment on it. I think listen, Matt Rhule and Joe Brady are first-time coach. You're talking about Joe Brady and a guy he's never been a full-time offensive coordinator ever at any level. So I think that there is going to be some valid criticism. There's going to be some things that he could have done differently. Matt Rhule has never coached at the NFL level. He's never been a head coach before. So there's going to be things that they need to learn. There's going to be things that they need to improve on. And the fact that Matt Rhule just didn't come out and say that was a bold-faced lie is it should be a little bit concerning. I think, but yes, it's expected for a first-year head coach and a first-year offensive coordinator to experience some issues. And I think that we should all, as fans, take that into account. And I think it's valid criticism. And all is good. I think you have things you need to prove on. And I have no concerns that Matt Rhule, Joe Brady, all those guys are going to fix all the issues. If they didn't practice it, I'm sure they'll practice it now. I'm sure they will fix all the issues. And I think the Panthers will be fine going down the road. But at the end of the day, Teddy Bridgewater's not a quarterback anymore. And we got to turn the page. And we have Sam Darnold now, and it is what it is, man. He made his comments. He made $33 million off the Panthers, and it kind of is what it is. So I think there's a little bit of truth, just to address the question. There's a little bit of truth from all parties, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's interesting. You pointed out, and I didn't catch it the first time along. Matt Rhule didn't really dispute the claim. He just said, "I feel really good about the way we practice and our process." That's it's a very interesting point. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation joining us here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. One that's a little less Panther-centered, but one that I still think is important. We know that that New England is coming to town. Cam Newton is coming to town.
Yeah.
First time he's been back to Charlotte since he was let go by the Panthers. Look, Cam is a dude who has not made it a secret that he has been out to prove to the world that he's still a G at the QB spot. I suspect, much like we talked about Sam Darnold with the Jets, Cam's going to want to do a little something special there in Charlotte when he comes to town. What does that game shape up like to you? How big of a game is it? Is it any more or less important with Cam? And do you think Cam's gonna come out looking to prove something?
It's going to be a huge game. In fact, I just bought my tickets this morning to go see that game. I will also be giving away a ticket to that game for our podcast listeners. So this is a shameless plug there. But yes, I think this is a huge, huge, huge game for Cam Newton. We let him go. It's very, very reminiscent to Steve Smith, the blood and guts game where we let Steve Smith go. And he turned around the next season and pinged, I think, 200 some receiving yards against us. So I think, Cam is the ultimate competitor. There is no quarterback more competitive than Cam Newton. And I think he is going to have laser-like focus against the Carolina Panthers. And I think the bank is going to be rocking. There's going to be all kind of fans torn. There's going to be fans that love to see Cam leave. And there's going to be fans that love to see Cam. There's going to be a ton of Patriots Cam jerseys. There's going to be a ton of Panthers Cam jerseys. And I'm going to love it. I'm going to be in there. This is going to be a really good game. It should be primetime. Obviously, I don't think it is, but it should be a primetime game. And listen, I'm going to be rooting for the Panthers. Obviously, listen, I love Cam Newton, but I'm a Panthers fan. The team, it's always team first for me. But listen, you got to feel for Cam. You gotta love what Cam is going to bring, and he's going to bring it to the bank, and we better be ready for it because it's coming. It's coming.
Real quick, two more for you, Rashad. Real quick before we let you go. Our buddy Josh Wofford on our live stream has just asked, who is the next breakout offensive player behind Christian McCaffrey?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm hoping that Terrace Marshall gets a chance. But I'm thinking, breakout, DJ doesn't count because he's already broken out. But yeah, that's a tough question. I think CMC should be the next breakout guy, right? Coming off the injury, we got to see if he's back. So I think he should be in discussion for the next breakout player.
Fair enough. Injury concerns in that return. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. Rashad, my man, Saints at Panthers, week number 2. You know your boy's coming up for a roadie. We ought to go ahead and get the tickets now, big dog. We're going to have some smack talk running back and forth.
Let's do it.
It's on. Rashad Beard, Panther Nation podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Panther Nation PC, and make sure you follow their YouTube feed. They're live all the time with some good stuff. Rashad, my man, good stuff as always, bud. We'll talk to you in a week.
All right, Rob. Zo, have a good one, bro.
You too, big dog. Thank you very much. That is Rashad Beard, the host of the Panther Nation podcast. Quick break back on the clock. Rob Lonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Hitting the head, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back.
AutomotiveMap.com presents your ESPN Upstate Sports Center update, powered by The Score. Atlanta Braves baseball, they lose to the Blue Jays by a 5-3 score yesterday. They led by a 3-2 score in the 8th inning, but then the Blue Jays put together a comeback. A.J. Minter takes the loss, allowing 3 runs while never recording an out, working out of the bullpen. Pretty good start from Bryce Wilson. 6 innings, 2 runs and 6 hits, 5 strikeouts, no walks. He does not factor into the decision. Ronald Acuna Jr. hitting his major league leading 11th home run of the year. Marcell Ozuna also hitting a home run. The team also announcing the signing of right-handed pitcher Tanner Roark to a minor league contract. Up next, the series will continue this evening as the Braves have Max Fried on the mound. Download the Score app today. Lightning fast sports alerts so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. With your ESPN Upstate Sports Center.
You guys can hear me if I actually turn my microphone back on. How about that? Oh, and now I took Zoe off the screen. Oops, my bad.
You all right? You good?
Yeah, I just had to run to the restroom and grab another water. And then I forgot to turn my mic on because I'm a idiot.
I was doing my live, and then a bulldog with a Hawaiian shirt came on, and I almost lost it.
Wait, no, what now?
There's a bulldog with a Hawaiian shirt on and had one of those cones on too. And no. It was on I got the Braves game on, and it was a commercial, and I just looked up and saw that and just forgot what I was. Yeah, I just did. I don't know why it was so funny to me, but it absolutely was.
What kind of bulldog? That's the big question. French, English, American?
It was a smaller bulldog.
So probably French.
Yeah, more than likely. I can't look at a bulldog and know I'm not that into it that much.
So if it's like the big bull, like the stereotype, like a Georgia bulldog, that's an English bulldog. The ones that look like they got hit by a car and got big old fat faces, that's an English bulldog. French bulldogs just look like tiny little kind of bulldogs, and American bulldogs are right in the middle. I've always wanted an English bulldog, but the rumor is the fact is they have health issues.
So you're saying if you get one, it probably won't be around very long.
Yeah, my last 2 dogs actually my dog that lives with my mom. I had a dog, and when my father passed away, and my mom went to live in by herself, she was like, "Can the dog live with me?" So I have another alive creature in the house. So she still has my old dog Dakota, and Dakota is gotta be coming up on 16. And my dog Aiko was
join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at the Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on ESPN Upstate. Thanks to Rashad Beard for joining us here on the show. Great to have him every Thursday, as we are wont to do. Anything stand out? Anything jump out to you about that interview, Lonzo, that we hadn't put into consideration besides the fact that he kept saying how right I was about everything? Just saying.
I didn't hear that part. No, I was just he's really excited about the season, and I like that too. And to the point where he is it's almost here, and it's not, Rashad. It's not almost here.
He's like, it's almost time. I'm like, dude, it's not. Like, we still have OTAs and summer and it's
still got like 3 months till training camp, but still, it's closer than it's not. I guess. But yeah, he was really excited about it. I don't blame him. I'm excited for football season again too. Not just about football season, but football season hopefully with as near as to full capacity as we can get. And
I suspect we're going to have full capacity, Lonzo, to be honest with you. I suspect we will. A lot of MLB stadiums are already going back to full. Atlanta's gone back to full. The stadiums in Texas have gone back to full. I know the Mets The Mets are doing something where they're basically creating vaccinated sections and unvaccinated sections. And if you're vaccinated, you can sit in a section that is filled up like regular down closer to the field.
So segregation?
It's not segregation.
Are they segregated?
Yes, but not over a basis that you have no control over.
So how is that okay? I'm just that doesn't seem right.
Because if you're
one of these, so you have to sit over here, and you're one of those, so you have to sit over here. It just doesn't seem right.
It's if you because being vaccinated is a status that you can control, right? It's one thing to segregate people based on aspects of who they are that are outside of their control. Segregating people based on not just a decision that they can consciously control, but one that is directly related to the health and well-being of the people that are around them is a different story, right? And I think that's why you're seeing what you're seeing with this premise set up.
So what you're saying is, okay, so if you're vaccinated, you sit over here, and then the people who aren't can sit over there. So you know that you can look at that people over there and say, well, if they're not like me, there must be something wrong with them because they're not willing to do what I did.
No, not that there's something wrong, but you have elected to take a different approach to your health and safety.
Well, we're going to continue to disagree on this because segregation in any form is it's not right.
So if you're at work and one of your coworkers has the flu and comes in and sits next to you at work instead of being told to go home, you're going to be upset about that, right?
No, no, because for one thing, it won't happen. Especially under the rules.
I literally had people come to work around.
By the way, what we're talking about now, we're talking about now in this day and this time, it would not happen because they would not be allowed in the building. So I don't have to worry about that.
What's the difference between not being allowed in the building versus not being allowed to sit in section 14?
There is a big difference.
I
love how you always do this, and it's not right, Rob. I mean, you can twist it around. You can confuse me, befuddle me, whatever. It's not right to say you come in, you have to sit over here. You can sit over here. It's just you're causing a division in your fans right away, and that's just not right. It's not. You might as well just not open up at all if you're going to say, hey, these people are different than these people, so they have to sit separately.
I'm not trying to confuse or befuddle. I'm trying to get a handle.
Let's face it, it's not really difficult to do that, but yeah.
If somebody showed up.
Hey, if I'm wrong, if you're listening, text line 71307, or if you agree, let us know, because I just think there's something wrong with doing that.
All right. Vaccinated and unvaccinated sections at a sporting event. Yes or no? Rob's side, Lonzo's side. My argument is, yeah, that's completely fine. They're not even saying you can't come to the game, right? They're not saying you can't come to the game. They're just saying if you come to the game and you are unvaccinated.
In an atmosphere where we have seen story after story of people wanting to fight or other things because someone's wearing a mask or someone's not wearing a mask, we're going to do kind of the same thing and say, here, let us separate you and show that you two different people, you're different, so you cannot be together. And it's an unnecessary division. Sports should bring us together, not divide us. And that's what they're doing. They're dividing.
I agree.
It's divisive.
But the division is based on whether one group of person can have a direct impact on other people's health, right? So I've got it. Let's say 96% efficacy rate in the vaccine. There's still a 4% chance that I can get it. I want to limit the number of people that I would be around that are more likely carriers of said virus. So we're not saying don't go to the game. You're not allowed in the game. You can't be here. They're just saying if you want to sit, you're not going to sit by the people who have the vaccine. You're going to have a section just for people who elect to be like you. 844-GSP, ESPN's the number, 844-477-3776 is the way to go to be a part of the program. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307. 71307. Let's see, at ESPN. Let's see. Oh man, the text line blew up quick. We called, Lonzo calls for the text, and the people answer, ladies and gentlemen. At ESPN, Lonzo is making something out of nothing. Should Lonzo be allowed to sit in the owner's box, or is that segregation? ESPN, segregation is definitely a no-go. At ESPN, I don't mind it. No different than going to a wedding and being separated by bride and groom sides. At ESPN, I love Lonzo, but the separating of vaccinated and non-vaccinated people and comparing it to segregation is a false equivalency. That's not even in the same ballpark, man. At ESPN, Lonzo, I agree, brother. Preach it, from Big D. At ESPN, I'm unvaccinated, and I agree. We choose to be unvaccinated, so shouldn't we face the repercussions? It's a decision that is made for the health of others. Neil texts in and says any form of segregation is an abomination against the American spirit. At ESPN, Rob, you're 100% right. This concept is going over Lonzo's head. And ESPN, not just no, but hell no, COVID vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID. Right. That's the point. It 96% prevents me from getting COVID. There's still a 4% chance that I would. So why would
I have another question. Okay, so you're separating them. Do they have separate bathrooms? Do they have separate concession stands? Do they have separate entrances to get into and exit the stadium?
No.
Then it's done just for political reasons, or just there's no reason to do it, because these people are going to mingle when they go to the restroom. They're going to mingle when they go up and get a hot dog. They're going to mingle when they enter and they exit. So it's just stupid, and it's just a show. That's all it is.
That is why most of the ballparks still mandate mask anywhere that is not your seat. If you are walking around the stadium, there is still a mask mandate. In Atlanta last week, if I got up to go get a hot dog, I had to put my mask back on to go walk to the concession stand, even as a vaccinated person. You still have to mask up. It's only in the places where you are sitting, which to me makes sense. If you don't want to get vaccinated and you're fine with the risk of COVID, then you can sit with the other folks that are unvaccinated and are fine with the risk of COVID. Those who are vaccinated and still want to take the chance of that 4%, they can go sit. Let's do this. I did not know that this was going to turn into quite this topic, but the text line is absolutely blown up. So let's take a real quick break. We'll come back here in a minute. We'll keep talking about this, because this is going to be a reality. I've already got my plans to get up to Charlotte for Saints Panthers. I'm planning on going over to a bunch more Braves games. I'm sure most of you are in the same boat. Is this acceptable or not for sports teams to separate the vaccinated from the unvaccinated? Let's keep that coming up next on The Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown.
It blows me away, Lonzo, that there will be days where I fill up the prep sheet with stuff and then you just stumble onto a segment that becomes the show for the better part of the day.
I want you to know that I'm not leaving the room angrily. I'm going to the restroom now.
I like that you understand how sensitive I am. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you making fun of me right now actively, I do. I've had plenty of hosts with issues with things that I've said that have created problems. And as a big fan of Lonzo, I like to make sure that we are in good standing with each other.
Wes is gone, by the way.
Okay.
And you have Prisma in the next break.
Prisma. Glad I closed the window because apparently it's yard work day again here at the Casa de Love.
Have you noticed if it's the same day every week or not?
Was it Thursday last week?
I don't remember.
I don't either. But as every woman I've ever dated will tell you, I have a garbage memory, Lonzo.
My memory, it's not selective, but there are some days it's good and some days it's not.
You got me beat. I'm just bad at the memorizing every day.
Except for trivia. I can still remember trivia pretty good, which makes no sense. I forget people's names, but I can remember trivia. 1 minute. TMZ is reporting that Carol Baskin is offering $5,000 reward to find that missing Houston Tiger because she really cares.
Pay $5,000 to find out where your husband is, Carol Baskins.
Well, the picture they're showing, she looks like she could eat the tiger. That's a mean looking lady.
Hey, all you cool cats and kittens.
He's not messing around. Real, unfiltered sports talk on the Rob Brown Show, ESPN Upstate.
All right, so this conversation was not one that I planned on having today, but you guys are into it, so am I. There are some stadiums that are looking at splitting the audience. They will have vaccinated sections where if you are a vaccinated person, you can sit in a full section like at a regular baseball game. They will also be creating some, I know the Mets are doing this right now. Some stadiums will have unvaccinated sections where if you are an unvaccinated person, you can sit within that section, but you will remain in most cases socially distanced from other fans. Lonzo says that this is a way to segregate the fans and is inappropriate. And I say that it's completely fine. It's absolutely fine. Nobody's saying you can't go to the game. You're not being barred admission from the game. Simply saying that you can't sit around other people that are not vaccinated.
But if you do come to the game, you're going to be treated differently. But we still want you to come. No, really, we do. But you are going to be treated differently.
You're not treated differently. They're just saying
you are treated differently. You're told that you have to go over there while everybody else can come in. They can. So you get your party side, and then you got your sickly leper side. The leper side. That if you sit in the colony over here, and over here is the party. But there's that.
If I go to a game and I buy a $20 ticket, I don't get to yell and scream that I am being treated differently than the people who bought $1,500 base sideline tickets, right? Because that is part of what qualifies you for where you get to sit in the stadium. There's
what, man, I really want to see this game, but the vaccinated side sold out. What do I do? Do I go sit in the side that's unvaccinated because I really want to see this game? Nope, I can't do it. I guess I can't go.
But that would be my decision, right? As a vaccinated person, I can take that risk, that 4% chance.
But that there's another question there. So if you have a certain amount of seats set aside for vaccinated, which I'm guessing gets preferential from the way that you're discussing. So you get preferential treatment if you're vaccinated. So what if you sell all those out? Do you start taking away from the vaccinated side? And how do you cut those sections out? You'd have to cut out an entire section in order to give more tickets to the vaccinated people. These just seem like a lot of things that they're not really going to enforce.
I will tell you first and foremost that if I'm the
it's window dressing, Rob. It's window dressing.
I am the operating stadium manager and I sell out the vaccinated seats, then yes, the unvaccinated sections begin to get picked off one by one for vaccinated tickets because I'm going to get more people and therefore more money in the vaccinated.
I'm also curious. So the vaccinated sections are they treated differently? I mean, as far as the seats and everything, the unvaccinated is it like sterilized, but the vaccinated sections are not sterilized? Is that how that works?
Stadiums, at least the Braves are. And again, I'm basing a chunk of this based off of my experience at the game last week. The Braves do a full disinfectant spray down of every surface in the stadium between games. So no, I mean, they're going to treat every seat the same. The only difference is going to be that you are limited in where you can sit if you are unvaccinated, and those sections will remain socially distanced. And I'll also tell you, when we get back to the point where the higher the percentages go, the more that you can sell out games to only vaccinated people, the more that's going to be the reality. And if you elect to stay unvaccinated, it is your choice. I agree with you. It is your decision to be vaccinated or not. But just like every other decision you make in life, there are consequences to every decision that you make. And you do not have an inherent right to go to a baseball game or a football game. It is not a right that you have. That is a business offering a good and or service, in this case, the entertainment value of a game, that has no requirement to sell you a ticket at all. Discrimination comes from a place where you are discriminating based on some aspect of their life that they are unable to control. You can also remember that we had the case that some people were very upset about when an Arizona bakery said, we don't want to make a wedding cake for a gay couple. And it kind of became the upfront illustration for these types of decisions. And my thought remains consistent. Businesses ought to have the right to run themselves and serve whoever they want to serve for whatever reason they serve, but then face the social consequences for that decision, right?
By the way, I don't disagree with you there. This is a business. They're making a decision, but they're also putting out a thing or putting out press, but that they're going to treat a certain part of the citizenry a certain way and another one another way. So to me, it's window dressing because of all the things I said before. You're coming in the same entrance, you're going to the same bathrooms, you're going to the same concession stands. So all this segregation means absolutely squat because you're still intermingling with those other people. So if you're still doing that, then what's the point of doing this? Is this just to either you're trying to point out these citizens are better than these citizens, or you're just trying to placate the PC world and say, look at us, look what we're doing, because you're not really separating them. Only when they're sitting down, you're not separating them anywhere else. So if you're really concerned about something happening as far as transmitting of the virus, then you have separate entrances, then you have separate concessions, you have separate everything, but they're not going to do that, which makes this window dressing.
If they did do that, Lonzo, I think you'd be having an even bigger problem than you do right now. But again,
if they did do that, at least it would make sense.
You have limited
this makes no sense.
You have limited facilities. You can only sell hot dogs out of so many places in the building, right? There's only a handful of concessions.
Come on. There's like one in every section.
That is why mask mandates are in place. That is why mask mandates are in place.
Oh, I have another question. So the guy who walks and sells drinks or sells hot dogs and stuff, will there be certain ones, only vaccinated ones can sell in vaccinated sections, and unvaccinated workers can sell in the unvaccinated, or will they be mixing? So if you're going in the vaccinated section, then you go to the unvaccinated, then you come back to the vaccinated, wouldn't that be bad? Because then you could carry something from the unvaccinated section into the vaccinated section.
I would suspect, and I don't know this because I don't have any food service vendors available to talk about this with me yet, but I would suspect there will be rules in place about mandatory vaccination if you want to work in the stadium, as some teams have done so far. We saw that in the NFL. If you want access to the locker room, you will be vaccinated. That's the only option, or you find something else to do.
You're probably right, but how are they able to go into that unvaccinated section of people?
How are vaccinated people able to go into unvaccinated sections?
Yeah,
that would be I would assume that would be by their own volition, right? As an unvaccinated person, I wouldn't go into or as a vaccinated person, I still don't want to go into a large group of unvaccinated people which is why I am still, despite being vaccinated, am still wearing my mask. I'm still trying to focus on outdoor places. I'm still trying to socially distance when available, etc. Let's go a couple more texts before we take a break. Let's see. I want to go. We got a bunch of texts that have come in. ESPN Robbie, you're 100% right. The concept is going over Lonzo's head. At ESPN, no, not no, but hell no. COVID vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID. I addressed that one. If it was because of weight, height, skin color, or anything else, the argument that just because they're still allowed makes it okay is like saying black people could still go to school or drink water, but just at a different school or different water fountain. This is not separate but equal. Someone being black does not threaten you. It doesn't harm you. Standing next to a black person doesn't give you a disease. All right. This does. That is the major difference.
So how do you enter and exit the stadium then? If that is your concern, how do you enter and exit the stadium? How can you possibly use the restroom? It doesn't.
Your mask on, one group at a time.
Doesn't work,
listen,
man.
I understand that by going out in public, I am still assuming some level of risk that I will catch the virus. I take that. That is the choice that I make. Just so we talk in choices that we make, that is the choice that I make. I understand if I go to a ball game, there is still a level of inherent risk, even as a vaccinated person, that I might catch the virus. That's the risk I assume. But the ballpark is trying to minimize that risk to the best of their capability. Text line is absolutely blown up. Let's take a break because we're off the clock. We'll come back. We'll read through some more of those texts. Your thoughts are welcome. Wes, if you want to come back, I'll put you back on the line, 844-GSP-ESPN. Ingles Market text line 71307. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Prisma Health of the Upstate. Look, here's the deal. Taking care of your health is priority number one in your life, right? We're having a big conversation about that today. Taking care of your health is priority number one in your life. You can have all the money and all the toys and all the resources and all the friends and all the great family in the world, but none of it matters if you're not healthy. That's just the reality of the situation. So Prisma Health has made it as easy as they can for you to look after your health care, for you to work closely with your doctor, for you to make sure that your healthcare information is up to date, accurate, streamlined, so you can get the best treatment that is best for you. Go to their website, prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org. There you can find a location from their dozens of locations around the Midlands and the Upstate. You can choose a doctor from more than 2,400 medical service providers, and you can schedule an appointment right there online. And using their MyChart feature, all your information is streamlined so you and your doctor can be right on top of your healthcare needs. Go to prismahealth.org. Prisma Health, the official healthcare providers of the Gamecocks and the Tigers. It's our friends at Prisma Health of the Upstate.
Alyssa, are you there? I can hear you. Cool. Bye.
Bye. Did I show you, Zoe? Did I show you the pint glass that I picked up from South Carolina Comic-Con?
No, you didn't.
It is a pint glass for the beer, and on the outside is etched +10 charisma with the D&D logo wrapped around it.
You know, I wonder if I got a large stein from the same vendor, probably. Did they have big cups too? Or did you just get it from the one that just had the...
There were like 3 that were etching glasses. And this, I want to say this one did all glass. So they did maybe they did have a stein. Like, was it glass stuff?
No, this is glass. I mean, it's a large mug, so I consider it a Stein if it's
Right.
Like 8-10 inches deep or whatever it is. Because I got one etched with Goku on the side, and it's really, really nice. And I think my son got like a regular mug size with D&D stuff on it. So I did see those, and they're really cool.
Yeah, I got one. I got a pint glass that says +10 charisma with the D&D logo. I got a bourbon glass, a rocks glass that says I drink and I know things from Game of Thrones. And then what was the other one I got? Oh, and then I got another pint glass with the Wonder Woman logo on it.
Yeah, there's a couple of those guys that do those, and they're there every year. And each year they add more stuff to the etchings, which is, but then I'm always concerned with dishwasher, even though they say they're dishwasher safe.
Yeah, that was the thing. I got home and they had the little card in the bag that was like, "Don't wash in the dishwasher," and I'm like, "Ugh, by hand? What am I, a 17th century peasant?" No, I'm lazy. I'm lazy.
And you could also be a 17th century peasant.
You can't prove I'm not.
Well, since I have people that are going to be moving soon, I have kept my Goku Stein separate and left it in the game room. Although it looks good in there, I may just leave it in there. What do I need to drink out of it for? The etching is so cool.
I've got a couple of pint glasses that are absolutely display only.
20 seconds.
I got one from a bar, and this is why. I got one years ago from a bar down in New Orleans.
Call 844-GSP ESPN. Text keyword ESPN and your message to 71307. Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show. Only on ESPN Upstate.
All right, more texts that are coming in on the text line at ESPN. Neil says, I have the antibodies and will bet my blood work will blow away anyone who has had the vaccination. That's great, Neil. But do you understand that I'm not taking you at your word on that? All right. I say that respectfully, but I don't trust that. People have all kinds of reasons that they're not. I can't breathe in my mask. Well, doctors wear them for 9, 10, 11 hours at a time. So I don't trust that you have antibodies just because you say you do, Neil. At ESPN, you spend more time in seats, a.k.a. higher risk. That's why they should have separate seats. Yes, for the vaccinated people, as the unvaccinated people. That's right. At ESPN, preach, Lonzo. You're right. End quote. At ESPN, CDC has released conclusive medical data that less than 1% of all COVID infections occur outside. Aren't we to follow the science and not fears of propaganda? I'm not saying you're wrong, Neil. Send me that report. I'll be happy to read it. At ESPN, maybe we can self-identify people who are vaccinated. Off the top of my head, maybe like a yellow star. Oh, yes. It's the old Holocaust compare. Yes, what you are going through as an unvaccinated person is just like the Holocaust. Are you kidding me with that weak ass stuff, man?
By the way, Rob, things start one way and you don't know how they can escalate. And again, if you don't look at your past, it could repeat itself. I'm not saying that's the direction it's going, but you've got to believe that it could go that way.
Slippery slope fallacy is a bad way to govern. It'll get you in trouble real quick. At ESPN, discrimination for sure. Rob is blindsided by percentages. Bigger question is whose seats are better. At ESPN, nobody said black people couldn't drink from the water fountain, just not the white folks' water fountain. Quit using that comparison. They still get to go to the game. I agree. At ESPN, black individuals weren't told they couldn't ride the bus or eat at a diner, use a separate bathroom. But yes, we understand the separate but equal comparison. I get what you're saying. I'm saying that's dumb because black people aren't dangerous to sit next to. You understand why that's a silly comparison? We got about 30 more texts that have come in. You guys are killing it. 844-GSP ESPN. We will bring this back up. It won't be the entire final hour of the show, but enough of you guys contributed, and I want to get all your thoughts on the air. Feel free, call in, be a part of the show. This is the Rob Brown Show. 1 hour left right here on ESPN Upstate. Keegan, who was with me at Comic-Con, says that dude had a bunch of Goku stuff. It's probably the same guy. So probably the same guy. Was it a guy that you got it from?
I can't answer that question.
Then it was definitely the same person. It was definitely the same person. He had some cool stuff. Oh, I also got I got the lady friend a wine glass that had the silhouette of Ariel from The Little Mermaid, and it said "Under the Influence," which I thought was hilarious.
That is cool.
I am reading a list of I'm reading a list of Zoom meetings gone wrong during the quarantine. Zoe, did you have any Zoom meetings that anything ridiculous happened on? I don't think I did.
Other than the fact that I actually had to talk on the Zoom meeting in front of the salespeople, which I don't like doing, and that nervousness is not an act; it's an absolute. And it's I'm ready to collapse from doing it, which is so stupid. You should have seen how bad it was when they were actually in the conference room.
Are you more comfortable in Zoom meetings versus in-person meetings, or is it pretty much the same for you?
I don't like meetings, period.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the amount of people, or I don't know what it is. I don't understand. It's introversion. It's social anxiety disorder. I don't know what it is, but it's just certain. It could be situational as far as people of authority and having to speak in front of them. I don't know what it is.
I think for me, the only part that made Zoom meetings worse was that, like, if we're in a meeting in the conference room, unless you're leading the meeting, everybody's facing one direction. So you don't really see 30 people in one room, right? You're just looking at whoever's presenting. If you're on a Zoom meeting, you're staring all 30 people in the face. And even if they're not looking at you, you still see the whites of their eyes, and it feels like there is.
Right. The majority of my Zoom meetings were with Dan Scott and Hendricks, and it was all sports stuff.
Right.
I was fine. The only ones that I had a problem with was the one where the four of us were in front of, even though we weren't in front of the entire sales staff.
Yes.
It just really bothers me.
Yeah.
Man, check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Locked down.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. We'll spend a few more minutes on this. I don't want it to railroad the entire back hour of the show, but this is the Zoe. I got to tell you, man, I'm looking at the texts that are still coming in. This is the most responded to topic we have had on this show in like a while, man. A while. People are super passionate about this. Some more texts that have come in. Let's see. ESPN businesses have the right to serve by color too, is what I'm hearing. Then I cannot help. I have the antibodies and not need to make medicine because I am okay. Again, Neil, no. All right. Cool that you have the antibodies if you do, but nobody's just going to take you on your word for that. That's not how it works. At ESPN, Rob, what do you do with kids since they are not vaccinated until 16 years old? Well, that is part of the reason that there is an expeditious effort to get the vaccinations scientifically cleared to be used for younger people. And that is an answer that that is a question I don't have an answer for right this second. It does not mean the idea is bad. What about 8-year-olds doesn't take away from a baseball game when 85% of the people, 80% of the people at the games are adults, all right? It's one of those things that, yes, people are going to have to come up with an answer for. At ESPN, I urge you to look at the numbers by race who are vaccinated. And if you will, it will be obvious that sports crowds are being segregated by race. No! How? It's not that tough. That is not. Everyone is eligible for the vaccine. If you elect not to get it for whatever reason, that's fine. That's fine. It's your choice. You have not heard me one time clamor for mandatory vaccinations. All right. But there are consequences for your decision to get vaccinated or not. And this is just going to be one of them. At ESPN, if it doesn't prevent COVID, then it's not a bleeping vaccine, LMAO. That's not how vaccine works. It's not how vaccine works. It is not, a vaccine is not a 100% fail-proof prevention of a virus or disease. 96%. But see, if I have a 96% chance of not getting it, and so does Lonzo, and so do you, and so does Keegan and Josh and Andrew and Ben and all the people in the stream, and we're all together, then exponentially the chance that any one of us gets it drops dramatically. But if I have a 96% chance and Zoe does not have it, have a vaccination, and Keegan doesn't, and Josh doesn't, and Andrew doesn't, then the people who do have the vaccine, they will be exposed more, and the chances that they get it go up dramatically. It's a numbers game like anything else. The more people in an area who are vaccinated, the exponentially less opportunity or chance they have to get it. Let's see. Did Lonzo go to the Tucker Carlson School of Debate, ask lots of easily answered questions, and pretend there are no answers? Also, there is absolutely nothing wrong with shaming the anti-vax crowd. No, I disagree. I'm not going to shame the I have no desire to shame the anti-vax crowd. Not at all. I'm not going to shame them for being cautious about a group of chemicals going into themselves.
Gee, I wonder what political view that person has.
I would argue the same could be made on the other side, right? When somebody goes, I refuse to get vaccinated, I got a pretty good guess.
No, you're missing the point. It's the Tucker Carlson and other things that they threw in there. It's in the end, I could care less which side you're on. I asked the questions that I asked.
Sure. At ESPN, Rob, what if I'm an unvaccinated person who identifies as, all right, I'm not even going to humor that with a text. At ESPN, Lonzo's fake outrage is laughable. He didn't even know this was a thing until Rob brought it up. Zoe is reaching to feel oppressed here.
All right. Let me address that. First of all, as far as my fake outrage, I am asking.
Outrage.
Faux. Yeah, you're right. Faux it's French. My faux outrage. I am not outraged. Period. I am asking legitimate questions that I would like to know the answers to, and I don't think there's anyone, including me or Rob or the people listening, who can give a definitive answer. But I am curious as to the opinions of everyone and which side they fall on, because unfortunately there are sides on this. There shouldn't be, but there is, and no outrage. I mean, outrage is. My face look red on the it is warm in here. I want to point that out. But you can see my face on the stream. I don't think I look angry, although I may normally look angry. That might be my normal face, but I'm not mad. I'm mad. We're having a debate. You can have a debate without anger. You can absolutely do. You can have emotion, you can have adrenaline, but you can have a debate without anger. When it turns to anger is when, friendships are cost and people get violent. We're not doing that. We're having a discussion, and we're not the only ones that are taking part in this discussion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for the record, Lonzo and I have a lot of things that we disagree on. We still good. In fact, I know that because we texted back and forth a minute ago to make sure we were still good. All right? It's fine. At ESPN, vaccine, definition, substance used to stimulate the production of antibodies and provide immunity against one or several diseases. If this vaccine doesn't prevent COVID, then it's not one. All right. You're bringing out the science nerd in me. Polio vaccinations are roughly 98 to 99% effective. There is still a 1 to 2% chance that you would get polio with the vaccination. Hey, Zoe, how many cases of polio do we hear popping up nowadays?
I don't recall hearing of any polio recently.
You don't, because it is all but eradicated. Because if all of us get the polio vaccine at 98% to 99% efficiency, then there aren't enough people to carry polio and spread it. You can't get it. All right? That's how a vaccine works. They are not 100% efficient. And down the road, this virus may evolve and may mutate and may change. That's how evolution works. And it works. So we have to eradicate it now to prevent it from mutating and evolving down the line to where we got to go through this whole damn thing again. At ESPN, want to talk about a numbers game. What is the survival rate of COVID? The individual survival rate for COVID is pretty good. You are really, the fact is, if you get it, you got a much better chance of not dying than you do, right? But there are almost 10,000 people in this state in the ground because of it, all right? That's why there are some people that are making the argument that we should be done with sports, period. No mass gatherings until it is completely gone. I'm not one of those people. I'm not. At ESPN, Bob Caslen is glad that this COVID conversation is taken over. Yeah, I bet he is. At ESPN, the stadiums will be segregated by political party, not race.
If you want Bob Caslen talk, you're going to get 4 hours of it coming up, so you'll be all right.
At ESPN, please talk about sports. Yeah, I told you, one more segment of this, and then we're getting back to sports, I promise. At ESPN, why would children need to be vaccinated when there is no known case of a child giving an adult the virus? We are no longer following the science. There are children who have gotten it. Most of them are a little bit older children, but if the science plays out that way, I'm fine with it. At ESPN, and I'm going to address this one more time because this is something that I have seen happen in debates in both sports and otherwise for years. Last text on this, and then we'll get back to sports. At ESPN, I should be able to participate in the debate without being diminished as a liar. That's from Neil. No, Neil, you have to understand there is a difference between I think you are lying and I do not believe you. There's a difference. If I was to tell Lonzo that I have a pet pig who lives here in the Casa de Love with me, Lonzo would say, Rob, you're a liar.
No, we're in South Carolina, and I haven't seen all of your apartment. I hate to throw off your argument, but there are a lot of pet pigs in this area,
Sure.
man.
So then
You haven't had a chance to get out much because of COVID.
I am from Northwest Florida. I have friends who actively have pigs for pets. That's why I came up with this.
The first person who ever approached me said, have you seen my pig? So
if I tell Lonzo that I have a pet pig, Lonzo can say one of three things. A, I believe you, which means that he actively believes that I have a pet pig. B, I do not believe you, which means that he does not believe that I have a pet pig, but acknowledges that there is the chance that what I'm saying is true. Or C, I am a liar, meaning that he believes that what I'm saying is false. So Neil, if you say, I'm unvaccinated, but I have antibodies that are off the charts and I am immune to COVID, I am not calling you a liar. I am saying that I do not believe you. It does not matter. I accept that what you're saying has a realistic chance of being true. It might be true. But I am not going to base my decisions about my behavior and actions around you based on something that might be true versus something that is true. Now, if you were to bring me paperwork certified by a doctor that said, yes, Neil is immune, then I would have evidence and a reason to believe what you have to say. But you just saying, I have immunity, that's not evidence that you have immunity. That's just a thing you told me. And I am not obligated to believe you. It does not mean that I think you are a liar or are lying. I think we lose this a lot of the time. So in really all kinds of debates, but politics primarily, where if somebody says, I don't believe you, oh, you're calling me a liar. No, I'm saying you have to do a better job of presenting your case, right? You have to do it. If I tell Zoe I have a pet pig, Lonzo is justified to take one of three positions. I believe you because I presented evidence. Maybe I show him the pig, or I turn my camera around and there's a pigsty and pig food everywhere. And he goes, that's a justifiable reason to believe that Rob has a pig. Or Lonzo could say, Rob, I've been watching you do this show for a year now. I've been interacting with, I have never heard a pig, seen a pig, or seen any pig-related paraphernalia around the house. Therefore, I do not believe you, and I believe you are lying to me. Or Lonzo could say, I've been watching the show for a year, but I've only ever seen your couch in the wall behind you. I don't know how big your apartment is. You might have another room that the pig stays in while you're doing the show so it doesn't bother you. I do not have enough evidence to make a decision about whether I believe you or not. So I am not going to believe you, but I understand that there is the possibility that what you are saying is accurate. I will need more evidence of that. Neil, I did not call you a liar. I will not call you a liar until you lie to me, in which case then I will, because you have proven with evidence that that is a true thing. I'm not saying you're a liar, Neil. I'm saying I don't believe you. And that is part of the reason, again, here's a big question, right? The whole premise of the vaccine passport. Should we have to carry around statements that we are vaccinated? See, here's the thing. There are people, Neil, there are people who will lie about the vaccine. Oh, I totally got it. When they didn't. There are people who will lie about it. So that is why evidence is required. It should be required for everything that you elect to believe or not to believe in your entire life. Every behavior that you have based on what you believe, that belief should have some evidence behind it. Also, Lonzo, I just realized I did not mean for this show to be like the philosophy hour with Rob Brown. So let's take a quick break. What do you say?
Hey, before we do, I sent you a message. You should check it out real quick before you go to break.
Oh, we'll do. Neil says, ESPN, I'm the guy who donated the $700 to the Children's Hospital, shared my cancer survival, and giving my mother 24/7 care with the last 8 months before passing from multiple myeloma. Stop implying I am a liar. Did you not, Neil? I appreciate your contribution. I appreciate you. You and I have had the dialogue before. Did you not listen to what I just said? I did not imply you as a liar, nor call you a liar, nor would I. I don't call you a liar. I don't know. I didn't say you are lying. I said I don't believe you. That does not mean I am saying that it is impossible for you to be telling me the truth. I am saying that until I have evidence to prove that what you are saying is true, I have no reason to believe that it is. It doesn't mean that you are a liar, Neil, or that I'm calling you a liar. I'm not, or that I believe you're a liar. I don't. I am saying that I am not going to base my decision about my interactions with you solely based on what you are telling me. If I was to say, hey, Lonzo, let's hang out this weekend, I'm a millionaire and I'll buy a lot of stuff. Lonzo is going to go, I don't have evidence to believe that that is the case, and will make his decision about whether or not he wants to hang out with me on the premise of getting a millionaire to pay for his weekend.
I don't want to derail, but you're implying that I'm shallow and only care about material things, and I just will not take that.
All right, we got to get some sports in here. We'll come back, talk some sports next on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at
Apparently we had a storm warning pop up over us in that segment, Lonzo. The Piggy Pet Shop with teacup pigs for sale.
So, Rob.
Hey, Lonzo.
Today's Thursday.
Thankfully.
You're not getting what I'm saying. I mean, if you want to skip it, we can skip it. But okay,
absolutely not.
You just hadn't mentioned
Absolutely
it.
Not.
It'll be awful self-serving for me to go, hey, did you remember? Yeah, you know.
You know what you ought to add? Not that I'm telling you. You know what you ought to add to? You ought to see if you can go find somewhere a clip of Brody saying it's Thursday and you know what that means, and stick it on the front end of the Fight Club sounder.
I will write that down.
Yeah. Also, AEW last night, solid, but NXT has been putting on better shows, Lonzo, I'm happy to say. And that 2 out of 3 falls match on NXT was solid. Not great, but solid.
Why are you talking about stuff that we're going to be talking about? I just don't. Okay, but we're not really.
Oh, we're streaming. I forgot.
And now for a complete change of direction. Although I could say, AEW is getting ready to go to full crowds.
So they're going back on tour.
Well, yeah. You notice they're going on tour in Florida and Texas.
Of course, they're going
the 2 states that are completely open.
Yep.
So
when they come to Greenville, are you going with me to an AEW show?
Oh, for sure. Just because I have critiques doesn't mean I don't appreciate the product. If I didn't like it, I just wouldn't watch it.
That's how I feel about Raw, too.
Yeah, but you haven't been watching it.
Yeah, I just haven't watched this week's. I watched last week's. It's on the DVR. I just need to pull it up and spend the time to watch it. I've been busy watching Justice League, Mortal Kombat, etc., etc.
I showed everybody Keegan's man show picture. It still makes me smile. It's like having a creative thought, and then someone just jumps in and does it, and it's even better than what you pictured.
Keegan brought. Look at dude. Keegan may take the Content Cash Cow nickname away from you because he has been bringing fire this week, man. Writing segues.
By the way, Keegan, I got enough nicknames, man. You can have it. Can you give away a nickname though? You can't give yourself a nickname. Can you give away one of your nicknames?
No. The destiny of your nicknames are not up to you.
So if someone gave you the nickname, can they take it away and give it to someone else?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever.
Yeah, me either.
I don't think I've ever come across this situation.
I'm full of questions today. What can I say? I blame management for accepting my latest. I'm trying to think of how
project
to put it. Yeah. Project without revision, and it's like a load is off because it's like, wait, I'm done a day before deadline too. Yeah.
Adam says, "What's better, WWE or ESPN Upstate?" It's the Rob Brown show. The writing is better on this show, if I may say so myself.
Without a doubt.
We have organic feuds on this show, Lonzo. Very organic feuds.
It was definitely violent how I asked that question, Keegan. You're absolutely right. It's funny because if you've listened to both shows, you've heard me angry before. Truly angry.
Impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat your children.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
I'm a bad man.
Welcome into the Fight Club. We're already ready to fight, obviously. And we are looking forward to this segment. A complete departure from what we just did for the last however long we did it. So many cool things to talk about, including WrestleMania Backlash. I know Rob isn't quite caught up, but it does happen this weekend.
I missed one episode.
Okay. I will tell you on another program that I do, there used to be repercussions whenever we would pick matches and someone would lose. Maybe we want to bring that over here. I'm 100%
fine with that.
I mean, it'd be a lot better if we were in studio together. But
I'm not going to shoot myself with a Nerf gun.
Yeah, I miss that so dearly. I really do. I still have my full arsenal in there though, in the office, which is still quite cold. Not that I would complain or anything. All right, so WWE WrestleMania Backlash. Why did they change the name, Rob? Why did they decide to put WrestleMania in front of Backlash?
Was so disappointed with WrestleMania this year that they were like, we better try to salvage it. And they're hoping they can put on a show here to go, hey, remember all those feuds from WrestleMania you weren't thrilled how they ended? Well, here we go again. It is a result of the fact that they decided that they treated WrestleMania as though, like, yeah, it was 2 days, but they treated it like it was just another pay-per-view, I think. And this is the Backlash for them.
Well, day one was excellent. Day two was not so much. And I found out some more details about that. It rained right up to the point where they started. They got no practice. They got no run-throughs. There was a lot of things like that. There were a lot of reasons why day two wasn't as good. And it wasn't just, the writing. All right, so let's get to these matches really quick. Let us start with the United States Championship. Sheamus versus Humberto Carrillo.
That's what it was going to be.
Is Humberto out? Okay. I got this from a couple hours ago.
Let me phrase that. I don't know that that's official, but I know that my boy did not look great after they had to stop that match, and I can't imagine that less than a week later he's going to be ready to go. So
it's wrestling. Would it shock you if he's out there wrestling?
Would it shock me?
It wouldn't shock me.
In this case, yes, because that did not just look like I got a bruise on my butt, right? That looked bad. The way his legs went stiff, he couldn't move.
This is a fun argument because neither one of us was going to pick him to win anyway.
That's also correct. That's all. We are arguing about the guy. Did the guy we think we were going to lose was going to lose anyway? Does he show up?
Right. So Sheamus wins this match, no matter who they put out there, unless maybe someone who hasn't been around for a while, been kept off TV, and this is just me speculating, something that just popped in my head. Say Keith Lee just happens to show up and go against Sheamus for the belt.
I don't hate it.
I mean, all right. So the next match, which unless Rob tells me I'm wrong and it's been canceled, is a lumberjack match between Damian Priest and The Miz.
Is anybody else over this feud? Look, that was a great run. It was a great match at WrestleMania, and that should have been it, right? I will tell you where I decided 2 weeks ago to not watch Raw this past week. Not that I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to end up skimming through it before Sunday so I know what happened. But when Damian's bringing a guitar case full of tomatoes to throw at The Miz in the ring, you have gotten to the point where you're just out of ideas for this feud. Let The Miz go on to do what's next. Let Damian start climbing up the ladder, who, by the way, I think is a bona fide star in the making, Damian Priest. Damian's going to win this match, and I don't really have that much interest, which is sad because I love The Miz and I love Damian Priest, but I'm not interested in this match all that much.
Well, speaking of out of ideas, we'll discuss that in AEW when we get to it. So Damian Priest versus The Miz lumberjack match. I think they're setting up the betrayal of Johnny Drip Drip. It's going to happen, so you can have that feud between The Miz and John Morrison.
That I'm in for because those two dudes have both put on some stellar matches they haven't gotten credit for. The two of them working together should be great.
The Miz is starting to be annoyed with everything that John Morrison does, so I think that's what they're working into. All right, the next match, SmackDown Tag Team Championship match between the old dogs, the bad dogs, I forget, the something dogs. Dirty Dog. I knew it was something.
Dolph Ziggler his respect.
All right, I will give Dolph Ziggler his respect. I will not Robert Roode because he's overrated and just don't like him.
Robert Roode came into the WWE with the greatest wrestling theme song in years, one of the greatest characters in years, and Vince was like, No, he's
Robert Roode will always be a drunken cowboy. All right, so Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode versus the Mysterios. Who you got?
That's a. I think they've been trying to get. I don't know, man. Like Dominique just comes in, wrestles really hard, and eats L after L. I got to assume that at some point they turn that around. I thought Ziggler and Roode were going to be placeholders for a while until they decided who they wanted to push next, which is fine. That's a great spot to be in for those two guys. I'm going to go ahead and pick the Mysterios in this one.
I'm going to go with the Mysterios also, and here's the reason why. I think they're going to give the belt.
It's going to suck if we keep making every match the same.
Well, yeah. They're going to give the match to Mysterios just so Otis and Chad Gable can beat them for it, because there's a feud right there too that they've been working on. All right, Raw Women's Championship: Rhea Ripley versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair. Here's where we're probably part ways. I am going to go with my friend Charlotte Flair to win this. They've been pushing her. She's back to her complete heel persona, which is where she flourishes, and she's going to win this by beating Asuka.
So Charlotte's at 15, right? 15-time champ?
I believe so.
So that means one more, she ties with Rick. I see her tying with Rick at a WrestleMania, not at a secondary pay-per-view. They're going to save that tied for 16 for WrestleMania.
Unless they're worried about Rick. He's been near death several times. And as a proud father, do you think he wouldn't be proud to see his daughter surpass him? Because I think he would.
First off, I'm not convinced Ric Flair's not immortal.
Well, there could be that, yeah.
Who, by the way, just got his second dose of the COVID vaccination the other day. He announced on Twitter. I don't know. You're walking a thin line there because you don't want Rick to kick the bucket before next WrestleMania. If you're gonna give it, I'm gonna go Rhea retains in this one. She's still hot off the debut. I think Asuka's been thrown in there as a foil, right? You basically created a situation where Asuka can get dirty pinned, Rhea retains, and now you got Charlotte v. Rhea, which is exactly the rivalry that Vince Kennedy McMahon has wanted from the moment Rhea Ripley got onto the roster. Rhea retains, Asuka eats the pin.
Sorry, I just saw a message. One rule of the Fight Club: don't talk about Fight Club before the segment. That is so funny. All right, so the next match is the SmackDown Women's Championship between Bianca Belair and Bayley. Whether you like Bayley or Karen or whatever her name is or not, she plays the character so well, but they're not going to take the championship away from Bianca so quickly. So Bianca wins this.
Completely agree.
Probably going to be a good match, but
it's going to be fun. And Bayley, I think, still doesn't get the respect that she's earned. But there's no chance they're taking unless they do some funky stuff to give Bianca her next feud to chase Bayley down to get it back, but I don't see it happening yet.
All right, the final match for the WrestleMania Backlash. There'll probably be other ones. These are just the ones that have been announced. Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre versus Braun Strowman. I'm going to do this. I know it's not going to happen, but I don't care. I'm going to go with it anyway. I say Braun Strowman comes away with the belt.
No. Bobby Lashley is Vince's dude right now. I suspect we're making our way towards a third McIntyre-Lashley showdown for McIntyre to get his belt back. Braun has been thrown in the middle, which is too bad because I think Braun is fantastic.
It looks like he's in the best shape of his life, too.
Which makes me wonder, like, maybe they told him, hey, you get yourself up to the top tier, we'll give you a push. But unless they're going to do a workaround where McIntyre v. Braun is a rivalry to hold off Braun v. Lashley, I think Lashley walks away again.
All right, NXT a couple nights ago, a couple things that stood out to me. Karrion Kross versus Austin Theory, just because of Austin Theory sells his character so well. And the dynamic between he and Johnny Gargano, I think, is it's not just the better writing, because NXT usually does that pretty well, but it's just the chemistry. I mean, who would have seen a year or so ago when they're all separate that putting the way together would work?
Yeah, and I mean, the way that they've been able to use the way to incorporate other guys in the story.
Those are really big nails.
The thing is, you can have great comedy writing, and the thing about the way they're kind of halfway between comedy writing and serious, right? I mean, they got a belt. They got 3 belts now because you got the women's tag belts on them as well. But you got to have folks who can sell it. That I will tell you, though, I am arguably a bigger fan of comedy wrestling than I am straight wrestling because it takes a lot to be able to sell that. Even the match before Theory got into the ring with Karrion Kross, the way that Johnny was like trying to pump him up and Theory was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. Like, it's just entertaining, almost to movie level. I was not a fan of the way when they started, but the more they involve Dexter and Bronson and Karrion Kross, and now Finn may or may not jump in there. I mean, I think they've done phenomenal stuff with Johnny Gargano. Who doesn't surprise me? Gargano's another one of those guys that I think deserves more talk than he gets.
They almost have me wanting to get one of their T-shirts. That to me means they've got me completely sold. All right, two other things that stood out. Cameron Grimes at the house auction. You knew how it was going to go. You knew Ted DiBiase was going to be there. You knew he was going to outbid him. But still, it's great. And they've learned their lesson to only show DiBiase from like the neck up because he's put on a few of the LBs.
Couple of LBs, yeah.
Yeah, living large, living rich like that, you might eat well.
Listen,
apparently.
The mark of a great active wrestler is when he shows up on screen. Even if I know what's going to happen, I'm still excited about it, right? When the Shield came walking down the aisle, you knew what was going to happen, and you were still excited about it. When when Hogan came running down, when Warrior, that you knew what was going to happen, you're still excited about it. The fact that we absolutely know what happened, and you still pop for DiBiase, and Cameron Grimes has made it that way. I told you last week, I'll tell you again, I don't think there's been a wrestler in the last 20 years that has taken me from such a low opinion of him to such a high opinion of him as quickly as Cameron Grimes has.
And this as you were talking, it reminded me of Ron Simmons. All right, he's saying one word, but you're waiting for it. You know, if he shows up on screen, he's just going to say one word. And even though it's just one word, it's going to make you laugh. It's going to be entertaining. It's the same sort of thing. And I'm really loving what they're doing with Cameron Grimes. He needs to wrestle more though, because he's a better wrestler than people think. All right, one last thing for NXT, Kushida versus Santo Escobar. I love that Kushida is finally getting some. He's champion, but they're finally showing what he can do. This guy's an amazing wrestler.
Oh yeah.
And those two together, they work so well. And it's been a while since I've seen best 2 out of 3 falls thing. And I thought that was really good. At first, it's like, okay, this is kind of lazy. Like they just don't have enough people to wrestle tonight, but it was well worth it. It was entertaining the entire time.
Yeah, I think both of those guys are 2 of the best on the roster. I really do. Santos is phenomenal and a great spot. The role he's playing works out for him. Kushida, I mean, talk about Kushida. He kind of roped you in with the underdog story and then finally pulled it off. It was a shock to see him win that belt a few weeks back, and then to see him defend it
and to see him keep
in
it.
a really good match too.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a okay, let's force it. It was a really entertaining match. So I'm down with Kushida. I love that dude. And you can tell again when he's wrestling, you can tell he loves what he's doing. You can tell he loves what he's doing, and it's fun to watch him go through it. So I'm good with it.
All right, I don't want to shortchange AEW, so let's just run through this really quick. Cody Rhodes promo was excellent. Actually got some tears in my eyes because he knew where he was heading, and once he got there, it's like, yeah. Whether you like Cody or not, I mean, that promo was a really good promo.
It had highs and lows. I thought there were points where it kind of got a little cheesy, but here's like, I don't know. It's just weird to me because look, the
if you don't like that promo, you're anti-American.
No, see, and that's why it bugs me because you get this. We're used to the America v foreign country promos, right? We've been having them for years. That's been like a mainstay. And you're talking about Anthony Ogogo, and yes, he brought out the flag and covered Cody with it, and I guess you could see that as disrespect. But like, England, is that the country that we need to spike our flag into the turf on because we've got this territorial war with England?
Well, excuse me, Rob, but there was a time when that was the country when we were trying to get our independence and become our own country.
Oh yes, I forgot that.
So
450-year-old rivalry that we definitely still continue.
There is deep-seated hatred between us, and it's down there. It's sometimes you got to reach for it, but it's down there. Anyway, I love the promo. All right, The matches were really good. One other thing I just want to mention, and this is a critique and it is a criticism. All right, we've seen people getting sprayed down in the ring enough already. First of all, bring out a hose that has some power to it. Bring out a hose that has some power to it. You didn't think anyone could top Austin, but Kurt Angle did. Once Kurt Angle did it with the milk, that angle should be done.
So I just want to make sure I got this right. USA as a trope for 50 years, good. Spraying champagne, which has been done twice, bad. That's your take?
No, if you're going to do it, bring a hose. Come on, Tony Khan. You got some power there somewhere. I mean, you bring out a little truck, by the way, and Jericho, you could see he's hiding in the back and the camera's trying to stop it. And he showed him like 3 or 4 times, knew it was Jericho back there. But the main thing is, if you're going to spray people in the ring, have enough power from the hose to actually knock them down. Those guys trying to pretend like they could. Now, when McMahon was pretending to fall, that was hilarious because he's such a bad actor. But these guys doing it, it was sad. It was absolutely sad. And that's all the time that we have for this segment.
Of course it is.
But it's your show. We can keep going if you want.
Of course it is. We can't go out there and talk about how great the tag team match with the Young Bucks was. Can't talk about Nagata v.
I ran out of time. I said I ran out of time. I'm sorry. I mean, someone went really late on the first segment talking about something that wasn't sports.
Always seem to run out of time when it's AEW time. I get it, Lonzo. I get it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say play.
By the way, the Moxley match was not that good.
No, that was a respect match.
That was a respect thing. No, that's what I was going to say. It was a respect thing. There's a different speed to it. And I've watched Japanese wrestling before, and it's not usually that slow. That dude was just older.
45.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's way.
He looks older than that.
Yeah. He's way out of his prime.
Especially when it was over, you could tell that it was a big deal to Moxley.
Well, and Mox even said that like all week long he was like, I had guys because a lot of the New Japan heroes, if you will, are just that to a lot of these wrestlers. So Moxley said that he was getting texts throughout the week that were like, how did y'all pull this off? This is awesome, et cetera, et cetera. So I thought it was cool for what it was, Alonzo, and just a respect to let a wrestling icon in Japan, come over and kind of pass the torch. So the thing about and we've heard this a million times, the thing about so many of these wrestlers is that they want to go out on their back, right? Like that's the philosophy is you go out by putting the next guy over.
This is a bad pun, but there's a Braves player down. Speaking of being on their back. Yeah. Yeah.
Who is that? It's either Ozzy or Ronnie, it looks like.
They're showing it now.
It looks like Ronnie. Got a calf injury. Did he hit the bag wrong? I wasn't watching.
No, it looks like when he came down after he hit the bag, his leg stiffens up. So it may be like a pulled hamstring or something. I don't know.
Hyperextended knee, maybe?
Could be. It just went really stiff, and that's the leg that he was limping on.
Oh, I don't want to watch it, but I have to. Oh, yeah, his left leg. Yep. It just kind of popped on him.
Golf cart in the next break.
Okay. I still can't see. It looks like Ronnie. That is not ideal, man. That is not good. The only bat you've had going in the whole damn lineup just went out, boys. Not great. Yeah, it is Ronald. Ah, crap.
I agree with you, Josh, that Vince loves the big guys. But the thing is, I think if he was real, I mean, Braun's had pushes before. This is a different kind of push, though, and it's almost like he's an afterthought, and I hate that.
Yep.
because he should be just as competitive with the other two guys.
Yup.
And it's kind of stretching something that needed to be over as far as a feud between Drew and Lashley.
I'm even fine with that continuing that feud, but just like not at the expense of Braun.
$30.
I just want to go back to Braun that was like flipping over ambulances and throwing people through buildings.
Yeah, but, the Fiend took that away from him.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe he needs to get his friend to use, the voodoo. You haven't watched, so you don't know what I'm talking about. Someone got voodoo powers now.
It's Alexa, isn't it?
Yep.
So he says.
Someone after Shayna.
Rob Brown at ESPNUpstate.com and we'll put him to the test. This is the Rob Brown Show. Local sports talk on ESPN Upstate.
All right, real quick before we get out of here to Twitter trending topics, Tony Busby, the attorney for for the 22 women who have filed suits against Deshaun Watson, he says there will be no settlement. Says that the players have been checking in with the women have been checking in with NFL investigators, said that he feels and they feel like they have been disrespected and not taken seriously by the NFL, which means, and then went on to say there will be no settlement. So we'll keep an eye on how that plays out. ESPN text line, English Market text line 71307. ESPN, you'll love this one, Lonzo. Let me get this right. Rob Brown is a red coat sympathizer and a vaccine queen. I can't believe snowflakes can survive in this weather. End quote.
He forgot one thing. He should have said America at the end of it.
Hashtag America. All right. So there's the stories tomorrow on the show. Before we get to Twitter trending topics tomorrow on the show, NBA breakdown is our season will be coming to its conclusion in just a handful of days. We will take a look at who's in, who's out of the play-in tournament. Get a full day to digest the NFL schedule. We'll have that coming up for you tomorrow and more. But when we come back, it's everybody's favorite game. Twitter trending topics. Lonzo tells me what's trending on Twitter. I give you 30 to 45 seconds about what I know about it. If I know nothing about it, I make something up. Right here on The Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
Golf card.
Yep.
The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
The 2021 Upstate Golf Card is here. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The best deal in all of golf can be yours for $99. You are getting a round of golf at not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7, not 8, but 9 of the most beautiful and prestigious golf courses around the Upstate. Spring is here. The weather is absolutely going to be beautiful over the next couple of months. There is nothing better. There is nothing better than getting out for a round of golf and buy a couple of them. Buy one for the significant other. Take him or her out golfing. Buy one for your friends. Get out there and spend some time slinging it around with the ladies, with the fellas. It is the best deal for golfers in the entire Upstate, and it is available now, but supplies are limited. And I guarantee you they are going to sell out, so get yours now. The 2021 Upstate Golf Card is here, ladies and gentlemen. Go to upstategolfcard.com to learn more. That's upstategolfcard.com, the 2021 Upstate Golf Card.
From the 106.3 W.
Yeah. This is my surprise face. I had my first go last night at Tortero's Pizza downtown.
Tadaro's, I believe.
Tadaro's. Pretty good. Not bad.
I believe I've had it before, but it's been a while. Going back to that memory thing. So I believe that I have.
Dude, Lonzo, if I ever get run out of the upstate, it will solely be because of the fact that I pronounce so many things incorrectly.
You are not alone at that. Another person who's listening to our conversation right now, I'm sure, also struggles with that some. So. Some of these I just learn how to pronounce them because it's almost like learning the lyrics to a song. You've heard it so many times.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, somebody texted me earlier and they were like, Rob, it's pastides. How didn't you know that? How the hell would I have?
Yeah, he was not in power, so to speak, when you were here, I don't believe. So when you got here. So, and it's not exactly, if you're not following the university, then I could see why you would have never heard of it before. And I have no idea. I haven't seen it spelled out, but I'm sure it's an interesting spelling.
No, it's spelled pastides, Pastides, which is why that's what I went with.
See, that makes me think of like Archimedes or something like that, which I think is probably spelled similar to that. And it's, it's a different name.
It is absolutely.
As someone who has a difficult last name for people to pronounce, which still makes no sense, you wouldn't have that problem though. So, I mean,
No, Brown's not a tough one to figure out.
If it is, then you need to get out of that place. Yeah, you need to get out of there.
The Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, it's time for Twitter Trending Topics, where I tell Rob what is trending on the internets, and he will regale us with all that he knows about the topics. The first thing trending is Masters of the Universe, actually.
Masters of the Universe. So, I haven't gotten to see what it's about, but one of the guys in my band dropped something in earlier. I guess they are making a new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe animated series.
Yeah, this
is licensed by Mattel.
It's been coming for a while. It's being directed by Kevin Smith.
Okay.
But the first pictures have just been put out today, and
does Skeletor look as cool as he deserves to look?
Dude, they look good.
Perfect.
They look even He-Man looks cool.
Are they doing now? I'm assuming they're doing it in like a new animated style. We're not going back to the classic Saturday morning style.
It's on Netflix and it will drop. July 23rd.
Oh, hey, I got a reason to start watching Netflix again. It's been a minute.
Look up the pictures. They should pop right up if you even type in He-Man. And I don't know how adult it's going to be, but it is Kevin Smith.
Sure,
so
it is Kevin Smith. And I'm 100% in. I look, this should be good. I'll just go with that. It should be good.
We'll see what Tila looks like. I guess there are pictures out there, but I haven't seen the Tila pictures. All right, the next thing trending is Ellen DeGeneres.
Yep, after a lot of seasons, Ellen DeGeneres has decided, I think 19. Ellen DeGeneres has decided to call it a career in terms of her broadcasting the Ellen DeGeneres Show. She said that she did not feel that it was a challenge any longer, which of course is public relations speak, Lonzo, for my ratings have tanked and I'm not making as much money as I used to.
Or that there's controversy about how I treat people backstage, and there's been a lot of people talking about that, so maybe I'll just go away so I won't treat people badly anymore.
Bingo.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons, but I don't believe I've seen excerpts from that. I've never watched an entire Ellen show. And maybe Time of Day or something. I never thought she was really that funny. So
my Steph, I until I found out that apparently she's just a miserable person in real life. I always liked Ellen DeGeneres. I'm a little biased. She's from New Orleans, so I was always a big fan. And before she passed, my grandmother, back like early in the Ellen days, like season 1, my grandmother before she passed used to watch Ellen all the time. I didn't dislike it. And then all the stories started coming out about how she was just an egotistical, narcissistic pain in the butt to work for. And then the ratings absolutely collapsed, which is too bad because she really did do a lot of good with her show, which is where the conflict comes in for a lot of people.
I just saw the bulldog again. It makes me laugh every time. Oh, how did he get that Hawaiian shirt on him? And yeah, the good thing there's no narcissism or egos in radio. We've never had to experience that sort of thing. All right, the next thing trending is Fury versus Joshua.
Yes, it looks like that fight is all but signed at this point. I don't know if they announced an official date yet for the fight. They were gunning for August in Saudi Arabia. That is the schedule that they've been put on so far.
The other reason why it's trending is they're going to build a stadium for the fight.
Oh, just for the fight.
Just for the fight.
Okay.
Which is, it's kind of cool. Yeah. I mean,
I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah, I'm down for that. Hopefully it will be, that would be pretty awesome to go to a stadium that was just built for what's happening. Yeah. I don't know if they tear it down afterwards, but maybe they do. It's been a desert. I mean,
they'll turn it into a soccer stadium, I'm sure.
More than likely.
But look, like I said, this is boxing's last chance, man. And I mean that if boxing doesn't take this fight, which is the best super fight we've had in a while, if they don't take this fight and turn it into something that people want to watch, even I, as a boxing fan, will have to get to a point where I go, I think it's dead.
All right. One last thing, and it's Kat Dennings is trending, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you why. She got engaged to Andrew WK. Why? I just don't get it. I don't understand.
Andrew WK is awesome.
Lonzo. Is he?
He's awesome.
What's he done?
Both as an artist and as a human being, he is an awesome dude.
Give me a hit song so I can go look it up here in a second.
Oh God, what is the best one? There's one just called Party On. Is it Party On or just Party? I'm gonna send it to you in a message here in a minute.
Okay.
I don't know that you'll be as big of a fan because it's just very like party rock. I love it. And he's just a good dude. And also, Kat, you could have waited for me, Kat. You could have waited for me.
That's the real reason why I was telling you.
Ugh. Mark Ryan at Offsides up next with Diesel. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Appreciate it. We'll do better tomorrow on a Friday edition. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a great rest of your day. The Rob Brown Show. Right.